for a defensive tackle in NFL history. In NBA news, Draymond Green has announced today that he is going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. Running business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one. We are reunited, Alan.
Yes, sir.
We're in the same room.
Bro, I love
being in
that
the same
to
room.
Start off this show. We went back, so you got a chance to actually hear yourself a little bit.
So yesterday I did a show for my brother's place in Philadelphia. And you were every break in the first hour, you're like, dude,
I'd pick up the phone.
Your audio is bad.
No, I wouldn't say that. Here's what I would say. I was trying to come up with solutions.
You're right.
I was trying to
call Fletch. I'm like, what is he going to do?
Well, Fletch has like a thing that I think he knows how to do through StreamYard. So Brett and I were trying to figure that out yesterday. But we made it. We made it, man. I think they were like, you're 3 hours ahead when you were out there. So Brent and I came to the conclusion of it was peak internet time where you were.
Could have been. Here's my actual theory. My brother's son, my nephew, was playing video games. That's my theory.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt you.
He says he wasn't really playing video games.
Okay.
At the time, but like, again, it was my fault. I was doing the show from their home. So it's hard for me to be like, you can't use the internet for 3 hours.
So was he playing video games or not? I want to let's come to the conclusion.
Because they got the basement and he's playing MLB The Show.
Okay.
And it was Guardians, Astros, NLDS. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell you to stop playing.
Is this Super Mets fan podcaster?
Super Mets fan, my nephew, Ezra.
Okay. How old is he?
15.
So 15 years old.
Sports fans did? This guy is me, other than the fact that I'm not a Mets
fan.
Oh,
you said that as a kid,
I mean, he is identical to me.
So there's a good chance that you're trying to do live radio drive time down here in San Diego.
Correct.
And at the same time, your nephew is playing, who is it? Astros and who?
Astros, Guardians, it was ALDS.
ALDS.
So it was a big series. I wasn't going to tell him to turn it off.
Yeah, like in that situation, I might say, why don't we wait till he's done and then we'll continue the show when he's done? Because that's a big game.
It was a huge game on like Xbox or whatever it was. But this is what I was thinking, because the first segment, Brent's like, it's kind of iffy.
Yeah.
And then I kept reconnecting. It kept getting worse in the first hour. We were pretty close to just like you were going to do a solo.
Yeah, we were very
close. You were doing the last 2 hours of the show.
We were very close.
But once we're in the studio together again, it's like everything is good.
I think my mic is off a little bit.
Is it?
You should go till 4.
Honestly, I owe you a couple of 3-hour shows.
Go till 4. I'll come back at 5:45.
Here's the rule with Schaefer and Sliwa. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is what we've basically been told. When you work in radio, we're taking people behind the curtain. Basically, one of us is supposed to be on the show. Sure, there's examples, maybe.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping for.
But like if Schaefer and Sliwa, they don't want like Bob and Brian.
Yes.
Like filling in for Alan and John.
Yeah.
So it's like if John's not here, hey, Alan, can you do the show? If Alan's not here, hey, John, can you do the show?
Plus, what we don't want is Bob and Brian to kill it.
Bob and Brian are like, they look at the numbers like, yo, the ratings are way better than Bob and Brian.
You guys did this. This was the level you guys came in with. But Bob and Brian, these guys, just next level.
Would you go with that as the name? Like if we had Bob and it kind of rolls off the tongue.
Bob and Brian's okay.
Yeah,
not
it's
like
not terrible.
Not the best name. What time did you fly back?
Well, this morning.
So what time did your flight leave?
It left at
Philly time.
Like 9 to 10 in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Here was the issue, real quick before we there's so much going on with the Padres. And we'll get you ready for Padres, Rockies, and everything in the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And the Padres are a game out of a playoff spot, by the way, somehow.
Game
and a half.
Game and a half.
But
yeah,
it feels like a game.
And Philly lost too, so I think
they're getting closer. Yeah. They're going to be in the World Series at this pace. By just hold on for dear. Everyone else is coming back to them,
right?
But this feeling, dude? You get on a plane and you've got somewhere to be. Typically, when people are on planes, they have somewhere to be. We get on the plane. This is my pet peeve. We're on the plane, all the people. It takes forever to load these damn things.
Yep.
Right. Then the pilot comes on and goes, maintenance is on the plane. We're having a little bit of an issue with the fuel. Like getting it on the plane. Like he was kind of he said it's supposed to be an automatic transfer, but it's not working. So they're manually putting the fuel in the plane. I'm like, a little bit of TMI. Like just, you know what I mean? It's a plane. I don't want to know what's wrong with it. But I'm thinking to myself like, oh, here we go.
So what's it? Wait, the pet peeve is him kind of giving the info.
My pet peeve is the issue.
I'm an info guy.
You want the info?
Yeah, I want the info. Like I was flying back from South Carolina, right? When I was in Charleston.
Right.
This was a couple weeks ago. And
you didn't fly to South Carolina. You flew to Baltimore, didn't you?
Well, I flew to Baltimore, remember, drove down. And
they're nowhere near each other, but continue.
It was a good job. It was good, close buddy of mine. So he's in Annapolis. Okay, so this guy was over communicating like I've never seen before. Like, guys, here's the issue. In Atlanta right now, we got some thunderstorms. Because of those thunderstorms, things are kind of delayed here. Give me about 10, 15 minutes. Let me figure out what's going on. I'll reach back out to you guys. That. He was over, like at the end, when the flight finished and we finally landed, I almost wanted to like find this guy. Because there's other people that don't say anything. You know, you're just sitting there and I'm like, why am I sitting here?
Well, how about this? To your point, Alan and I went to Monterey a month ago during the World Cup.
Mexico.
Yeah. Here was the issue. It wasn't their issue. It was more of our issue. They only spoke in Spanish it was either Viva or whatever it was on the way out.
Yeah,
it wasn't Viva, actually.
Valeris.
Yeah. And they only spoke in Spanish. And I could tell in the tone of the pilot's voice, it wasn't perfect. We were in the air.
Yeah.
And you weren't overly concerned. You were watching something or sleeping. All you do is sleep, I learned.
Unbelievable.
You weren't concerned. But I looked at the guy in the row in front of me, and I was trying to voice my concern. I'm like, yo, what did he say? Guy goes, he said we don't have any fuel.
Yeah.
And my reaction then was, that's problematic.
In my head, when that was communicated over, I was like, so what does that mean? Like, what do we do from here?
We can't go to a 7-Eleven.
Is there a jet coming right next to us who's going to refuel us?
So we landed in some cornfield an hour. It was a debacle. Anyway, today, so they finally put the fuel in the plane. Mm-hmm. Then, have you ever had this happen? You're sitting on the tarmac and you're like, something's not right. You know that feeling when you're just sitting on the tarmac and the plane is not moving?
Oh, yeah.
This is what he tells me. Not just me. He told everyone on the plane. He goes, we're going to have to take a little bit of a different route because of the weather. So we're now 20th in line for takeoff. I said, 20th? I've never heard. There are 19 planes in front of this plane right now. How is that even possible?
That's irresponsible to have 20 planes taking off at the same time.
It's a long way of me saying and that's why I texted you in air. I had the Wi-Fi somehow for half the flight. And I said, I'll be in by 2:30. It's a long way of me saying this. I end up getting to the studio at 2:05. Alan's nowhere to be seen. We normally meet at 2 p.m. He's nowhere to be seen.
Listen, I'm not coming in. If you're getting here at 2:30, I'm like, all right, well, what am I going to get in there at 2:05 for? And the next thing I know, I walk in at 2:20. Your ass is sitting on you. You're like, oh, look who showed up to work today.
I'm like, it must be nice to have a half day. All right, Padres Rockies tonight. Kyle Newman covers the Rockies for the Denver Post. What are they doing at the deadline? How does it impact the Padres potentially this series? He'll join us at 4:30. If you missed Kevin Acee yesterday, a really insightful conversation that you'll hear coming up later in the hour. But look at these standings all of a sudden, Alan. I know it's not solely about the standing. It's also about the Padres, but the team's whole playing, National League has come back. Not the whole, but a lot of the wildcard teams are coming right back to the Padres with 50-something games to play.
Miami 2 back. Padres game and a half. St. Louis game and a half. Washington 1 game. Arizona and Pittsburgh tied with identical records. By the way, Philly up just 2 against a couple of these teams. They've been struggling. They're 3-7 in their last 10.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a handful of teams here that are all kind of vying for one playoff spot, potentially 2, but 1 for now.
Yep.
Here's the good news. I would say this, and we're going to find out over these next handful of days about the San Diego Padres. Do you think it could kind of get, how do I properly frame this? Can it get worse than it was?
It's a good question.
Like Could the hitting get worse than the lowest moment that they've had? Could Machado go back to the lowest time that he had this year? Could they get any more injuries? Could the pitching staff be as bad as it's been as far as the starters go? I guess what I'm trying to say is the dust is starting to settle. They're sitting at 500. And I honestly think, like, if you look ahead, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Now, the question is going to be from A.J. Preller. Is he going to go out there and be aggressive? You and I were chatting a little bit about this. I think, is there anybody now saying the San Diego Padres are not going to buy? Like, I don't feel like I'm hearing anybody say that. So the idea and the hope is here that they get a chance to improve their team over this next couple of days. But they got to help themselves because they can't lose tonight with Michael King on the mound against the Rockies. They got to go, what do we say, 4-2 over these next 6 games. Yep. That's really what they have to do.
I mean, Alan, I'm looking at the schedule, and we always say, and I say this, it's about the Padres as much as it is, the teams around them. Padres are going to have to play well. They're not backing into the postseason. I still feel that way. But we do have to consider the fact that they've been really good against bad teams, and they're playing a lot of bad teams in the second half of the year. Right now, this homestand against San Francisco and Colorado tonight. Still to come, dude. I'm looking at this thing. I mean, you're still playing the Mets, and you're still playing I'm looking at the schedule right now. You're still playing Cincinnati. You're still playing San Francisco and Colorado again. You still play the Marlins at home. Isn't a good portion of the schedule
very beneficial
is against bad teams, and seemingly they've been good against bad teams. And to your point, did they reach their low point, and now are they like on the way back up, or is there another low water mark to follow? I guess we don't really know that in real time. But as we sit here today, and this might come back to bite us, it does feel like they kind of went through the storm. It was bad. Not to say everything's fixed and they're going to be, the second best team in the National League all of a sudden. But it does feel like they went through it and they're kind of coming out of the other side of it. And now they'll at least vie for a playoff spot in the second half of the year. Doesn't mean they'll make the postseason, but I don't feel like we're going to be talking in 2 months, Alan, and they're going to be 11 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah. And I think, we said this, and if there's one, AJ Preller wants to make the postseason. Mm-hmm. He wants to give himself another opportunity and another window to see anything can happen come postseason. And I think that you were starting to reach a point with the Padres. And by the way, it didn't all just change in 3 games, but those 3 games against the Miami Marlins were huge because you got back to 500, because you are now within a game and a half. And if they'd have lost 2 or 3, we're having a completely different conversation. Right. Especially with Miami, how bad Miami struggled. So he wants to do everything he can to just, I know the Padres don't want to give any signal that they're giving up on the season. I know they don't want to give that signal to obviously season ticket holders. New ownership's going to be coming in, and I'm sure they want to walk in with a little bit of, look, we're here and we want to build on some of the momentum that the Padres have had over this last handful of years. And it doesn't mean it's been perfect. Obviously, the Padres, they haven't been to a World Series. They haven't won a World Series. But if there's a window still remaining, then see if you can capitalize on it. And some of these other big players, like Machado, all of a sudden is balling out. Jackson Merrill is starting to ball out. Tatis been good for 2 months. Yep. So, I don't think we have to talk really negatively about Tatis. So there's guys that we're putting a lot of pressure on that are also now carrying a little bit more of the load.
So with all that being said, and I agree with you, I don't see the Padres selling off significantly, which means I don't see them moving Mason Miller. However, some of their actions indicate it's at least a possibility. And we'll explain that on the other side. Plus, if you missed Kevin Acee, you'll hear that conversation coming up at 3:30. We're getting you ready for the Padres homestand against the Rockies and the Giants. The trade deadline is approaching. Great giveaways today. We'll tell you about on the other side here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
Our San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks giveaway. That's every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Your next chance to win $1,000 coming up after 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760.
All right, today we have Santana tickets to give away. We also have tickets to see Toto. And I didn't realize this yesterday in real time. Brent, Toto is, give me a Toto song.
Africa, Rosanna.
You know those songs, Al?
No.
No, but you do. You do.
I mean, if you play them, then I will know.
Down in Africa.
You claim to be a Weezer fan. They covered it.
You know Africa.
You'd have
the
to play
rain down in Africa.
First off, listen, don't sing and don't hum. Don't do anything. If you want to know if I know the song, I just have to hear the song.
Well, that was the quickest I could get you the audio. It was my take.
And we don't get a copyright strike for John singing.
That's another good point.
Okay.
You know Toto, Dorothy.
Yeah.
You know, the dog.
Yeah.
It's a twister, whatever.
Yes.
They're also with Christopher Cross. You know who Christopher Cross is? You know, Sailing and
Come Sail Away.
Come Sail Away.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yes. Come Sail Away, I know.
Anyway, we have tickets for that show coming up as well. We'll tell you how to win those tickets coming up between now and 6 p.m. All right. So, Mason, I agree with what you just said primarily in the first segment, which is, I mean, all indications here are the Padres are not likely to be a big-time seller right now. But then you've got what Jeff Passan said earlier today on a podcast, that the Padres have told teams that if they want access to Mason Miller, whatever that means, maybe if they want to be able to call on Mason Miller, they have to make everyone in their organization available. Nobody would be off limits for the Padres to listen on Mason Miller. Does that change your thoughts on what the Padres might be thinking at the deadline in terms of buying or selling or not?
I think it could just be very honest. It could be a very blunt conversation, basically saying, look, we have no interest in giving up Mason Miller. If you want to talk Mason Miller, let's not waste each other's time. Everyone in your organization, we have one of the best young pitchers in all of baseball. He has a very important role for, he could be the difference of becoming a World Series favorite or not. He could be the difference of he gets traded to the AL. Maybe that team now becomes a World Series favorite because of his talent. And he's under control for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think it's going to cost you? And oh, by the way, look what it cost me to get him.
True.
So I think you don't have to be playing poker. You could just be very honest.
Right.
And if there's a team that now understands the San Diego Padres are not desperate to get rid of Mason Miller. They're not 5-6 games below 500 or 5-6 games back from a wild card spot, and they're clearly selling, and they almost have no choice but to do so. San Diego Padres, it looks like, at least it appears, will look at the rest of this season with Mason Miller on their team, and they're going to look like they want to go try to grab one of these final wild card playoff spots. With that being said, why would you trade Mason Miller? Unless another team came in and gave you an offer that you said, this is going to shore up A, B, and put some prospects back in the pipeline. It's going to do something that we did not think we could do with Mason Miller. So I think that's fair. I think it doesn't sound like he's being disingenuous by saying that.
Right. Or like this report that we saw this week but John, why are the Padres aggressively scouting the Yankees minor league system, sending scouts to single-A, double-A, and triple-A games? I'll tell you why. And it's not because they're going to move Mason Miller. They could if they were to go like 0-5 this week, but it's because you want to do your due diligence. You don't want to just say today or in the days leading up to today when they were playing the Marlins, hey, we're just going to buy. You know what? No matter what happens, we're going to buy. Well, what happens if your team isn't in a position to buy? You better have done your diligence, because if you are going to make trades involving your major league team, the pieces you get back, you better have scouted properly, because that is critically important to your future. So the fact that the Padres are scouting Yankees minor league games just tells me in the event that they make a move or sell off parts like Mason Miller, you want to be prepared. I don't think it means you're selling Mason Miller. It's in the event that you're selling Mason Miller, you want to be prepared. That's how I read that.
Yeah, I just say if Miller if he ends up getting traded, it really is kind of to me, then it has to be simple. And you could look at it playing different ways. We've heard AC talk about this, where he says that it would be just a failure in the sense, what the hell did you trade for Mason Miller to trade him in a year. But I think I've kind of come to this conclusion. The conclusion that I would come to is if he gets traded, it's primarily because there was just a package out there that AJ Preller decided, I got to have this package. Because what Mason Miller represents is exactly what AJ Preller looks for. He looks for stars. He looks for guys that are absolutely electric, that can sell some seats, and that can also get you W's. Mason Miller does all four of those things. So if he goes, in one way, you kind of have to look at this and say, well, this wasn't as out of desperation because they could have kept him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't because you were 5-6 games below 500 or 5-6 games out of a wild card spot. You did this because you chose to, because there was an offer out there that you genuinely thought will help your team.
And I've said this now over parts of the last
future.
Yeah, and I've said this over the last few shows, which is even if Mason Miller were to go, and I don't think he will.
Doesn't mean you're selling.
I don't think it means all of a sudden you're punting and looking full, like solely to 2027. I really don't. I think their bullpen is good enough.
It means Morihone becomes your closer.
Yeah,
Jason Adam becomes your setup
You're
man.
getting guys healthier maybe. You have Jason Adam. You have David Morgan. You have Jeremiah Estrada. It's not like all of a sudden you go from the best bullpen to the worst. You might go from the second best to the eighth best in that scenario. Plus, you've now gotten the Godfather offer that is helping you fill holes. I still don't envision it. I really do not envision it. Now, if they were swept by Miami this past weekend, I would envision it, or I could see a possibility of it. The fact that they did the opposite of that, I'd be very surprised.
Here's the one thing I think I'll also say on Mason Miller. If he did get traded and the idea is, well, we're still trying to win now. Yes, you still have other bullpen pieces in there.
Yeah.
But brother, it's a
Mason Miller.
Drastic difference, because now that pressure becomes a lot different. And now that ultimate, I got a guy coming in either in the 8th to close out that inning and the 9th. I mean, we've seen Mason Miller do incredible things. You take that piece out of the bullpen, you are not the same bullpen. And yes, there are other players out there, but there's nobody even close or remotely reliable than Mason Miller.
And that's why I don't think they do it. I really don't. And it was AJ Preller's white whale, and you're going to trade that away 12 months later when you're in a race to get to the postseason. I don't see it. All right, Kevin Acee with more on the Padres at the deadline on the other side. If you missed the conversation from yesterday towards the end of the show, plus Kyle Newman from the Denver Post as the Padres get ready for the Rockies tonight down at Petco Park. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. Padres and Rockies are getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen going for the Rockies and Michael King going for the Padres. The first pitch is at 6:40. The Eagles and defensive tackle Jalen Carter came to an agreement on a 4-year, $152 million contract extension, with $106 million of that guaranteed. The contract is the richest for a defensive tackle in NFL history. Draymond Green announced today that he is going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to more radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Kyle Newman, Denver Post, coming up at 4:30. Padres and Rockies.
Oh, we'll break down everything around the Rockies.
Yeah,
everything.
That team that's about to be sold off over the course of the next week, I would guess, because they're not in it, obviously, once again.
Isn't there a race car driver named Kyle Newman, too?
I think there is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But he's not going to join us, I don't think.
So it's not the race car driver.
What if I reached out to him and I'm like, hey, tell us about the Rockies? He's like, I'm getting ready for Darlington.
You got him crossed up.
Yeah.
But what if he killed it? He knew everything about the
It's
Rockies.
funny you bring it up. I'm getting ready for Talladega, but I grew up a Rockies fan. You want to talk Todd Helton with me right now? All right, Kevin Ace here, Padres Insider. If you missed him last night here on Schaefer and Sliwa, really good conversation about the deadline. We started asking for his reaction to the Padres sweeping the Marlins over the weekend.
Well, it's funny because however they got there, right, they got to about where we thought they were going to get, right? Like that's what we whatever it was it 6-4, was it 4-6, was it 5-5? It was going to be a muddled situation. But the fact that they were 5-5, but they're 2 games back, so it's kind of like you would have expected them to at least have to have had a winning trip, right, to gain a game and a half. But this is how it goes. Sometimes they might have one of the best records of the National League contenders, I think, since the break, and that leads me to actually answering your question. And look, AJ Preller was looking for a reason to be a buyer. We can go into what does buyer mean, but I think absolutely that being 2 games back, having swept the Marlins and played, probably kind of some more complete games for the most part, and having your stars actually contribute, for the most part. And you're now going to play the Rockies for 2 and the Giants for 4. At this point, I don't think there's any doubt that the Padres are buyers.
Kevin, you mentioned it. What is your definition, or what do you think the definition is of a buyer? What exactly does that mean compared to what he's done in the past?
I've gotten mixed signals. I do not believe, while I think their situation in terms of minor leaguers and AJ Preller's creativity is better than people would think or say, the Padres can't make any deals or whatever. I do think they can make deals. I don't know that, look, Ethan Salas is in play. I don't think he's going to get traded, but he's in play. It's not like he's untouchable. The reason they were able to do what they did last year for 0 money, and the reason that they were able to in 2024 do what they did with adding just a little, is they had, good prospects to give people. And, he's going to have to get really creative if he wants to do that, because my understanding is that while budget talks are kind of haven't really even started, they usually this week is when ownership becomes involved, when they hear what AJ Preller is planning. I don't think they have a whole bunch of money to be saying all right, we're going to take on this big salary. So I think it's finding a starter that can, go with Michael King, Walker Buehler, eventually Nick Pivetta and or Joe Musgrove, and have your mid-level starter come in, them to, kind of normalize their rotation, maybe add a reliever in case Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada don't pan out. And I think, that's about what they can afford, though certainly a left-handed bat. Let's not get too carried away with Luis Rengifo. Great story, but let's not get too carried away. So I think that's kind of what buyer means. But there's so much dependent. There's a lot of buyers. Don't know how many sellers there are. Take a look at the starting pitching market. It's certainly what's within their price range. What is it? How much is that going to help them? So I think it's really going to be an interesting time.
Is it feasible? And Kevin Ace is our Padres insider. We've seen for a very short period of time the Padres have kind of gone unconventional with some of their pitching strategies, with the struggles of their rotation. Do you see this as more of a moment in time, the Miami series, maybe Colorado and San Francisco, and then they will make the necessary additions, whether it's via the trade market or maybe it's Nick Pivetta or Joe Musgrove, some other combination? Or could they actually go this route, the route of the 2024 Tigers or the route of like a 2018 or 19 Tampa Bay Rays, and try to just kind of ride the unconventional route to the postseason through the final 2 months?
The 24 Tigers, and I'm pretty sure the 19 Rays had some pretty decent starting pitching, at least at the top, right? Like, so, and then you were trying to do the rest with unconventionally. So to get to the heart of your question, since the Padres don't necessarily have that, it's for now. Look, the nature of these lineups, lefty dominant at the top, you're gonna pinch hit for them, or you're not going to pinch hit for the guys that you have in there. It sort of allows the Padres to, decide before the game, hey, these are the lanes we're going to use these guys. It's not going to, every batter's not going to line up with our guy, but you know what? We're going to put him in where 4 of the 6 batters that we, or 8 of the 13 batters that we expect him to face, we think he matches up really good against. And so it's to get them to the trade deadline. No one said this to me flat out, but I just don't see a way they don't have a starting pitcher. I mean, even if they were selling and punting on the season, like, you got to make it through the season. So like they need to go innings here. And this is great. Now look, they're talking out both sides of their mouth because they've said like, this is temporary. However, look at the makeup of our bullpen with all these former starting pitchers, and we could do this for the rest of the season. Well, yeah, okay. I don't think so.
Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, joining us here, Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Kevin, we all saw the quote, and it's different because you're there, but just Jake Cronenworth saying, if we keep playing like this, we're going to put ourselves in a position to make AJ help this team. I don't know how this pans out on a day-to-day or a game-to-game basis, but does that sweep or going 4-2, is it that simple that these games truly do dictate what the Padres do, or does it have more to do with the standings and the fact that it seems like the final NL wildcard spot is wide open? It just kind of your opinion on what are all the measurables there?
The people that I talk to kind of leave me with the impression the standings are what we're going to need to look at. They know what the Padres are, right? Like they've known for a while. And that includes them saying the offense will get better, right? Like they know the weaknesses. They know how bad it can be, how bad it has been. And they were talking about it before the rest of us were, in terms of the potential for it to get bad. It's where are they standing? Like, it's just going to be hard to punt if they're, 2 games back still. Like, well, that's hard to do because you do have good players. If they're 2 games back, you figure they went 4-2 this week. I'd like to say a good 5-1 week. If you're, they owe it to themselves to have like a good 5-1 week. They have not taken anybody and strangled them since April, right? So like they need to like destroy these teams coming into Petco Park. I don't know if they're capable, but the standings, where are you at? And what happened? You got Diamondbacks, Pirates playing each other these 3 games. That could help the Padres in terms of, but then those 2 teams don't play again, and then you got a few of those teams playing each other 7 times. You have a few of those teams not playing each other. All those teams supposedly have a harder schedule than the Padres. The Padres have already considered all of this, their own team, what they think of other teams, and it's going to be about where are they in relation to those other teams at the trade deadline.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Let's look at it like this. Like, would you agree that in 2020, walk me through this, 2022, 2024, 2025, they're like, whatever it's going to take, like we're going to get, we could go crazy here. I mean, look at 2020. They turned over a third of the roster. Look at last year. They traded away Leo DeVries. Can you go to that extent this time around? Like, I could make the case in some of those years, hey, this team's close. There are reasons to do it.
Can you make that same case this time around?
I don't think so. But see, that's a little bit maybe my bias, but that's also the impression I get talking to people like that. You are correct. You characterized those. They won the trade deadline, right? Like if there was a trophy case at, for that, then theirs would be full, right? They would have won 4 trade deadlines in the last 6 years. And, because they thought, and I could make an argument for them that in all those years, they did have a shot. And they wanted to get better. I think what they want to do now is get better enough, go for the playoffs, not really throw anything away, which is why Ethan Salas is available, but I don't think he's going anywhere. But they don't want to, give up on this season because they do have a very high upside. Listen, they believe very strongly they're not a playoff team right now. They believe that has absolutely nothing to do with anything because if they can get better, right, like through the trade deadline and getting Pivetta/Musgrove, Adams/Estrada back, and their guys are hitting like they've been hitting, then it happens all the time that teams are very different end of July and end of September. So the fact that they're not a playoff team right now, they would not argue with any fan or media member out there that they're not a playoff team right now, but they want to make themselves a playoff team.
Kevin, any progress or updates on the Musgrove and Nick Pivetta front? I know you were telling us on Friday, or they were getting closer to throwing, and just out of curiosity, if you've heard anything over these last couple of days.
So I would not think that I would think that Wednesday is the day that they would go, and that there is absolutely over the weekend talking with people that late middle of August that both of these guys could be back. Now, does Joe follow a few days after Nick or vice versa? Nick is going to have to be like, he's going to have to stay on this, people's optimism is going up with these two guys, and it's going to have to keep going like that for Nick to make that August 22nd deadline. What we're talking about is going Wednesday, 5 days after that, maybe a rehab start. Even if it's not a rehab start, 5 days after that, it's like a simulated game. You're up to 2 innings now. You get into a rehab start, it's 3 innings. Next one's 4, boom, you're in the major leagues, possibly. So it is possible, but, obviously things have to keep progressing in that positive way.
My final question, Kevin, would just be on the offense and what we've seen here recently. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but obviously over the last month, one of the better offenses in the sport. And then individually, you've seen just improved play everywhere, whether it's Jay Cronenworth or Jackson Merrill or Manny Machado. How do you explain it? Was it just like what Craig Stammen was saying all along? Hey, let it play out over 162? Or is there some type of discernible change that's happened philosophically? What has played out here over the last month that has allowed the Padres to be a much better offense?
I definitely think that it's that you almost couldn't help but be better, right? We're talking about June 30th. Since then, like top 3 OPS, top 6 runs per game. Like it's 5.7 runs per game since then. Like I've been saying since June 8th that this is an offense that's been good enough to have a much better record, and it has been. And some of it is, this was just going to happen. There's also some other things, I think, like guys buying into some things or, kind of giving up in a way, which is if you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I got to do this, right? And I think that's the case with some guys. Manny had to work through some things. Tatis is a much more, not a hitting coach. If I'm watching the video and I got a hitting coach there showing me, I go, oh, okay, I see. I can hardly explain. It's just he's not as tied up as he was, and he was changing things all along, and he's not doing that anymore. So for the most part, then what happens is then when you're not messed up in whatever way, guess what? You're making better swing decisions. You're not chasing. You're more convicted. And so like there's all sorts of stuff going on that none of us can really say we know everything. Some of it was just natural progression, and some of it has been a whole lot of hard work, and then also what I'll call giving up. All right, I got no choice, but I'm just going to do this. And so I think guys like Jackson Merrill, and that fits. Obviously, Jake not playing with the concussion probably helps.
Kevin, final one for me as well. Just real quick on the Mason Miller front. What'd you make of these last couple of weeks? I mean, he was just all over the news and obviously the conversations and, oh my gosh, is there a Godfather deal this? But it feels like when the dust settles, he's going to remain with the Padres. I know we still got a few more days, but what did you make of these last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's such a big chip, and the Padres had to explore it. And believe me, like, let's say they go 0-6 here. Padres could blow this sucker up and get the best farm system in baseball next week. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they've done that research, right? Like they owed it to themselves to do that. And when they do that, and John Schaefer knows, this is why I hate the trade deadline. Like some of it is like full legit, and I get that people are entertained by it, and then some of it is just squawking. And any sort of nugget like that, like it's super interesting that the Padres would even be considering it. That I'll grant you. Then we go to and then what it means and blah blah. It's like no, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they were just listening. You know, and maybe guess what? They've listened before, or other teams have listened on whoever, and we didn't find out about it. And so that's what I make of it, is that they sucked for a bit. They owed it to themselves to see what all these guys could get, so that if they ended up, they're 5 games back and playing like crap next Sunday, well, what do we do then? And they've thought that through, and I don't know what their plan would be then. Is it a full-on? But I do know this: because of that work they did to find out Mason Miller, Adrian Morejon, even Fernando Tatis Jr., Michael King. What can we get for all these guys? They have plans. So now that doesn't mean anything about like what they're actually going to do, but I've written about it before. This group, led by H.A. Preller, is and other teams will tell you, people that have come from other teams or gone to other teams will tell you, they're as prepared as anyone.
How about that? Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. We should react to
They're
Kevin.
buying, buddy.
All right. Are they buying or not? The latest on the Padres and what they have to do here between now and the trade deadline. Plus, Kyle Newman from the Denver Post. Padres and Rockies coming up tonight from Petco. Finally, the Padres back home. It's Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances by the Goo Goo Dolls, Kenny Chesney, Lainey Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Weezer, and more. September 18th and 19th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Now's your chance to buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out.
All right, so Kyle Newman, Denver Post, Padres, Rockies tonight. He'll join us at 4:30. All right, to put a bow for the moment on the deadline, how do Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove, as you just heard from Kevin AC, like as you put the deadline puzzle together, what role do Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta play in that puzzle if you're AJ Preller?
All right. Let's give a percentage of his decision is weighing in on those two guys. Maybe 25%. Like, can you weigh in any more than that? They're not progressing to the point where, hey, I've already seen them. I know they're coming back, and I know the date that they're coming back, and I know it's just going to be a matter of time before those players are who they are. Mm-hmm. But I heard yesterday I was listening to Friar Territory. That's Darren Smith, Marty Caswell. We've talked about that. Marty played some sound of Joe Musgrove in a conversation he had with Joe Musgrove. And Musgrove was like, she asked him pretty bluntly, are you coming back this season? He said yes. Mm-hmm. So I don't think AJ Preller can say, well, I don't need any starting pitching. I got these two guys coming back. But I also think he could say, look, if I'm able to make a move and add a starting pitcher, if I'm able to make some moves, I got a ton of guys that can help a playoff roster and this stretch run that are already on my team. So I would say you could probably say AJ Preller's looking at that and saying, hey, let me give 25% of my thought process towards I can potentially have these two guys back. I don't think it could be any more than that.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like I think what I would say is you almost treat it like if you get something from them, it's a bonus.
Can't be.
It can't be a bonus?
I think they're so desperate with their arms.
You think that they need them?
Yeah.
But even at or can you attack the deadline like, hey, if I don't have Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta at least pitching effectively for me, can I go add a starter and a half? Because with a starter and a half, I got.
But can you do that?
I don't know the answer to that.
If you can get your starter and a half,
not 2,
then you can also look back and say, all right, in the next 30 days, is Musgrove pitching for the Padres? Is Nick Pivetta pitching for the Padres?
I think they will be, but the question to your point is like, what's their effectiveness? Yeah, I mean, Joe Musgrove hasn't pitched the big league since I was like in driving school. I don't even know if there is driving school. Nice shot.
I got lucky.
You really did.
I don't know how that went in. I don't know how that went in.
But like, I can't count on Joe Musgrove. I'm sorry. I hope he pitches. I hope he provides value. Now, Nick Pivetta is a different story. I mean, Pivetta's been a really good pitcher in the major leagues, at least for the Padres.
He has, and he was pitching earlier this year.
Yeah, so I'm with you. It's just you do need them because I don't think you can just get it all done at the deadline in terms of making your rotation one of the better rotations or even like an average rotation. But I just don't know if you can count on them either.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that he can't depend and say, well, I don't need to get that much in the trade deadline because I got these two guys coming back. That's my point of you can't depend on him.
Yep.
But I think there's got to be a piece of him that understands. I mean, listen, can they really make noise without adding a starting pitcher and getting Nick Pivetta back and getting a good version of Nick Pivetta? How can you?
Well, noise is a good point. I mean, I don't know. You could argue with Nick Pivetta.
Are we just saying just
get
a wild card spot?
I mean, dude, I think that if you got a wild card spot and you were the 6th seed, and even if you had Nick Pivetta back, you're probably not going to be the favorite in that series. You're playing a 3-game series on the road, a little bit like last year, where like you're a small dog against a above average team. It doesn't mean you can't do it though.
No, it's almost as if when the Padres went to New York.
Although the difference
took on the Mets.
But you need 3 starters.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Like right now, if they were playing in a playoff series, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, who's pitching game 2? Well, no one. Like right now, you have a game 1 starter in Michael King.
You probably are Walker Buehler would technically be here.
You're on the, you know what I mean? You're facing elimination and you're throwing a guy with a 6 ERA. That's why Pavetta is important. That's why Musgrove's important. That's why the deadline
trade deadline
is important. Exactly. All right, Kyle Newman from the Denver Post with more on what the Rockies are doing this deadline, plus with more in the series that kicks off tonight at Petco Park. He'll join us at 4:30. We'll get to the wrap on the other side. We're also giving away tickets to see Toto coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh, I heard the song. By the way,
Toto.
Brian, I didn't.
You know how many views that song has on YouTube? Africa.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
How many?
Probably a lot. It's from the 80s.
How many? You think more or less than 10,000 views?
Oh, way more.
That's correct. More or less than 1 million.
More.
100 million. More?
1.2.
It's from like 83. It should have way more than that.
1 billion.
1.2 billion. Well, it didn't go on YouTube in 1983.
That'd be amazing. It has more views than Schaefer and Sliwa.
1.2 billion.
It has more than Schaefer and Sliwa last week, which is incredible. All right, we'll give away Toto tickets. Kyle Newman at 4:30. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres and Rockies are downtown getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen going for the Rockies and Michael King going for the Padres. First pitch tonight is at 6:40. In NFL news, the Eagles and defensive tackle Jalen Carter have agreed to a 4-year, $152 million extension, with 106 of that guaranteed. The contract is the richest for a defensive tackle in league history. And in one NBA note, Draymond Green announced today that he is going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. Running business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, this is hour 2 of Schaefer and Sliwa. Cal Newman from the Denver Post getting us ready for Padres Rockies tonight down at Petco Park. Also this hour, Alan.
Yeah, I'm busy, but
we're giving away. Yeah, they have a great segment right now in SportsCenter.
This is the best top 10 I've ever seen. It's the longest I've watched SportsCenter in a long time.
It's the top 6 animals on a field in sports history, because there was a black squirrel on the field the other day.
There's a kangaroo right now. There's a soccer match
in Australia
interrupted by a kangaroo.
Number one's got to be Randy Johnson killing the bird, right?
I don't want to see it.
Oh no.
Remember
the bees? They stopped the game for hours because of bees.
Didn't we have bees at Qualcomm or was it Petco?
No, it was at Petco.
I was
but
there.
Not like this. This stopped the game for like hours. Look at this. Exterminators on field. Incredible.
Got to play through it. Just got to play through it. Oh, then he threw out the first pitch. All right, now I'm ready. Now
you're ready for the show?
Yeah, now we're good. That was good.
Speaking of animals, we're giving away Toto tickets. Is that a segue? Well, Toto like the dog in what's the movie with the...
We got it, man. No, we got it.
Dorothy?
You mentioned that earlier.
Wizard of Oz.
We got it.
No, but also Africa. And in Africa, there are animals.
Yeah, there is.
You like that?
John Fact.
Really good the way you bridge those together, man. That was super
There's
smooth.
Basically animals on every continent.
Super smooth, man.
All right, so Kyle Newman will join us coming up at 4:30 right now. Let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Do you think jersey patches are coming to the NFL?
1,000,000%. Of course, they are coming to the NFL. Actually, that's a little shocking. How come?
I agree.
How is that possible that like State Farm is not on every Patrick Mahomes jersey out there in the Kansas City Chiefs?
Because NBA and MLB has it.
MLB, NBA has it. NBA's newer, right? In the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, both, right?
In ML or not in MLS, in the English Premier League and some of these soccer leagues, I don't even know who the team is.
Yeah.
It's just literally
AT&T.
The largest ad that you can see wrapped around. So yes, the NFL, who's got a pretty good, track record of making some money and making decisions around money, very surprising that they don't have one yet.
Ohio State today announcing a deal with JP Morgan Chase or JP Chase Morgan, whatever. $17 million per year for a patch on their jersey. Notre Dame then following it up with their own announcement at 18 or 20 million per year today. Who was that?
20, SoFi.
It was SoFi.
Wow.
I mean, the money is unbelievable. To put it in perspective, the Sixers last year and the Clippers last year got less with their jersey patch deal than Ohio State will get next year with their jersey patch deal. So it's coming to the NFL.
Yeah, but you say that, and I know you might be saying like, hey, this is college, that's NBA. Use Clippers as an example. That's Los Angeles. It doesn't surprise me at all. Ohio State is flexing on the Los Angeles Clippers because of their college football and the rest of their athletics.
It's just it proves this point that we sometimes forget. Of course, football is the most popular sport in this country, but that makes college football the second most popular.
It is the second, right?
You
think
have
technically it is.
There's no NBA games in a regular season that are getting 10 million viewers. Maybe outside like Christmas.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to play Marshall. They're going to get 9.9 million viewers on Big Noon Kickoff on September 5th. I don't know if they're playing Marshall, but you get.
Yeah,
but it's coming to the NFL.
Patch is coming to the NFL.
Do you wish the patches were more like regional in terms of the sponsors? Like my example is the Bucks sponsor patch. They were Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson are made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So like when I saw the Ohio State thing, the first thing that popped in my eyes was, oh, Buckeyes. The convenience store. But they were
so naturally I was going to say, like, I think for certain brands and certain markets, you're going to get a local company. But you start hitting, I'll use Lakers as an example. I think their first patch was at BBGO.
Right, so it's international.
Actually, no, before that it was Wish,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Wish, right?
These are huge
These
brands.
are international companies because of the brand. So I think the Cowboys and the Yankees can't have the local plumbing company.
Well, the local plumbing company doesn't have 17 million per year like Chase has for Ohio State or SoFi has for Notre Dame. Next question.
What's going to happen if the Padres have a bad homestand?
Yeah, what if they lose tonight?
Brother, I haven't, to be honest with you, that hasn't kind of crossed my mind. I swear on my life that hasn't crossed my mind. I think it's like they win the 3 games in a row. They get a day off. All the conversation is now shifted to the Padres winning. So what is a bad homestand? 3-3 or 2-4? Because I think 3-3 is
it's not great. You haven't
let's say 2-4.
Yeah,
let's say they went 2-4.
But they can't go. The deadline is before the 6th game. So they're going into the deadline. They're 2-3, or they're 2-2.
So they're a game below 500.
I mean, what is that going to mean?
I don't think, as long as it's not 0-5 or 1-4, I don't think it changes much.
I agree completely. I think if they, for example, against the Rockies here, go 1-1. I mean, come on, it's a 2-game series. That happens all the time. Do I think that changes AJ Preller's plans? I don't. What if they go 2-2 against the Giants? Do I think that changes AJ Preller's plans? No, I really don't. I'm with you. Unless they just completely tank this thing away and lose their next 4 games, I still think they're a buyer. I don't think they have to go 4-0 or 5-0 to be a buyer.
Don't they have 6 games?
Yeah, but the 6th is after the deadline.
But the deadline's on Monday. Is it deadline Monday? I think they have 6.
Are you right?
I think they have.
It's on the 3rd.
That's Monday.
Right. So
Monday 6.
So I think based on their schedule, they'll get through all of San Francisco and all of Colorado.
Don't let the facts get in the way of what I'm saying. They have 5 unless you want to be factually correct.
I mean, if they go 2-4 over that stretch, that's an awful stretch.
But here's the other thing: you're not making the decision after the 6th game.
Then why are we making the decision off of 3 games against the Marlins?
Well, they're making the decision based on the body of work, and whatever the body of work says when they make the decision is what it is. So whatever happened, 19-9 counts, 9-19 counts, 3-0, 0-3,
sure,
53-53. Next question:
is the Big Ten better than the SEC at football?
So I don't know if you guys saw this, and Brent, is this the article where Big Ten is basically flexing all over the SEC? I saw a couple articles on this earlier today.
Big Ten commissions.
Yep. Yeah, I think the Big Ten is better than the SEC. And, you asked me that 5 years ago. Listen, it wouldn't have been crazy to say it, but here's what's happened. Ohio State and Michigan are always in it, period. Oregon is now in the Big Ten.
Wait, what?
Washington is now in the Big Ten. Like, they've obviously added schools. I won't add SC because USC really hasn't done anything since they've been there. And Indiana just won the national championship. The last 3 national championship, isn't it all Big Ten?
Big Ten, yeah. Michigan, Ohio State.
Now, SEC is going to try to make a case and say, yeah, but the middle of our conference is better. Do you think the SEC wants the middle of their conference better, or you think they want to win a national championship and have the SEC represent it? I think the Big Ten is better than the SEC, and I am looking at the top.
I agree, but I also think it's going to be cyclical, and I also think it's like saying in the NBA, hey, the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference, but the Eastern
But if you're
Conference
asking
is still
today,
good.
what are you saying today?
No, I would say it's the Big Ten. I would bet. I mean, listen, these brands like Ohio State goes nowhere ever. Like Ohio State falls out of bed at 12-1. That's the floor for Ohio State. I mean, these schools have put so many resources into winning in college football. But I mean, are we going to bet against Alabama in the long haul, or Georgia? No. Or LSU with Lane Kiffin, who they just gave $1 billion to?
Brother, I don't disagree. The brands in the SEC are incredible. It's a bucket list thing. I want to go to an SEC game. Like, I love it. The whole thing, it's amazing. The Big Ten is better than the SEC today. Doesn't mean they're going to be in a year. Doesn't mean they're going to be in 5 years. But today, as we sit here, they're pumping out national champions, and Indiana all of a sudden got into the mix as well.
Yeah, it is incredible.
I think it's just evened out. You know, it used to be all the bigger, stronger players would be, you know, Big Ten, but all the faster, more athletic players would all be in the SEC. But now, you know, it doesn't matter what conference you're. Every conference is just filled with speed now. Yeah,
and by the way, the SEC and the Big Ten have separated clearly from the ACC and the Big 12 by and large. Now, ACC had a team in the championship in Miami last year, but Indiana beat them. But it's now run by the Big Ten, the SEC, as we know. Final question.
Could the Padres make a push for Tariq Skubal?
Oh, push for Skubal here at the deadline.
No, I'll say no. I don't even know what they would trade to get him, to be honest with you. That's one of my hesitations with everything. I just hear that the Padres are 30th in the farm system. You know, obviously, if you want to give up Ethan Salas, which, again, to me would sound pretty idiotic to do that at this stage. I don't know how they're getting Tark Skubal, and why are you trading for Skubal if you know he's going to be gone after this season? So I'm going to say no. I don't think there's a world that he becomes a Padre.
What if they move Griffin Canning in the deal? I'm kidding. Yeah, Skubal's not coming to San Diego. Now, Skubal, I think, gets moved. They're 7 games under 500. You need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, they lost a couple games in a row.
Like 7 under. I think Skubal gets moved. Now, one thing we need to prepare ourselves for, do we need to be prepared for what the Dodgers do at the deadline? Or do we not care? Because they've already won the last 2 World Series. Do we, like, it does it even not even we're already numb to it. Are we numb to it, though, because they've won 3 of the last 5 World Series?
No, it matters.
Because be prepared for it, dude. They're not done. This isn't their finished roster. It's not.
Yeah, I think, and basically, I mean, I would be confused of why they wouldn't just say F it.
Exactly.
I mean, they're probably single-handedly going to cause the lockout.
Especially if they win it.
And by the way, you could say that in a couple different ways. It's also, yes, they spent absurd. They ran well. They got a good farm system. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play. So do you think they're apologizing for anything?
No.
Do you think they're putting their foot even further on the gas, knowing that they have a chance to win 3 in a row? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're one of the more aggressive teams out there.
I think that's what we'll see over the course of the next 5 or 6 days.
That's great.
Isn't that terrific?
So happy.
But the Padres might add a middle reliever. What does Jeff Passan think of the Padres' chances down the stretch? He has weighed in, and we'll share those thoughts with you on the other side. Plus, we're giving away Toto tickets coming up this hour, and Kyle Newman from the Denver Post will join us live at 4:30 to preview Padres and Rockies here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. You got to get out there this summer. You're going to love their hotel and spa at Jamul Casino Resort, where you can experience elevated luxury with a refined hotel stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. And you can take your stay to the next level with exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. Make sure to check out Starlight Pool, next level chill. You can soak up the sun and soak in the views at San Diego's ultimate rooftop pool. Day pass is starting at just $40. So grab your friends, relax, and make it a pool day to remember. And while you're at Hamul, enjoy all of their dining options, including Hamul 23, with their lobster buffet every day. You can enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m., with made-to-order omelets and fresh fruit and sweet and savory favorites at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
All right, SCFC is back on the road this Saturday when they take on the Minnesota United. Our pre-match coverage with Adrian and Darren will begin at 5 p.m. on your home for SCFC San Diego Sports 760.
All right, what are we laughing at?
I'm laughing because you're like an air traffic controller.
In what way?
You just start pointing at things like...
No, air traffic controllers don't point. No, those aren't air traffic controllers. Those are the people on the ground.
Oh, which one's
with the orange sticks?
Yeah, with the
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're like want to get away guys or whatever.
Yeah, just like you're doing this.
By the way, it's a serious responsibility. You point with those things the wrong way, and boom, you're in the active runway.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm good.
I'm not doing air traffic control. By the way,
I don't want any of that.
Like, I don't care what it pays. I don't care what the benefits
I don't want
are.
any of that.
How do you sleep? Imagine the nightmares you have.
Could you be somebody like? I had a friend of mine back in the day, and he worked for whatever airline it was, right? And you're taking these flights, like that's your job. You're flying you just end up 4 hours away in a random city, and then you take a little bit of a break, and then
you come back like you're a flight attendant or whatever.
Can you do that?
I think it sounds cool in theory.
I don't think I could do it. Yeah, I don't think I could do it.
Like, what if you're 26 and you're doing international for like Delta, and you're going New York to London one week, and
that's cool.
New York to Johannesburg once a month.
Awesome,
right?
Yeah.
So you could do that.
but like from here to Laughlin and then to Fresno.
No, I don't want to do that.
And then to
also, man, there's like, are you real quick here? Because I know there's other things to get to, and Kyle Newman's going to join us at the Denver Post. But are you like a guy that wants to spend more time on a plane as opposed to less? Like, I don't think I'm not trying to be on 1,000 flights a year.
No.
Because that means it's going to be raining some days. There's going to be turbulence, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that.
And it's also just the inconvenience of going to an airport,
going through
checking
security,
your bags in,
staying
going to
healthy.
security.
People are coughing on you.
It's delayed. It's this. Now that ain't.
Also, flight attendant people are like, oh, I don't want pretzels. I want cookies. We don't have cookies. I want to see, the manager. There is no manager. We're in the air, ma'am. Right?
Did something happen in the plane this morning?
No, but you know what I mean? It's a hard job.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's got something to complain about.
Oh, on the plane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I dropped my.
You got 100 people, 150 people. Somebody's going to be complaining about something.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle Newman's going to join us in 10 minutes. Listen to this from Jeff Passan. He was asked in like a Q&A about whether the Padres are a playoff team, Alan. He was asked if they're a playoff team by some rando, just some fan. Listen to what he wrote. He said, I don't see it. Even with Tatis, who's awoken, and Merrill, who's hitting bombs, and Manny Machado looks like himself, they're still running out of rotation with Walker Buehler, JP Sears, Griffin Canning, and German Marquez. They could conceivably flip Adrian Morejon for a big league starter, but that drastically limits their market. I just think even with slight improvements in the rotation, they're still in too big a hole with Pivetta and Musgrove late August at the earliest. That's his honest, real-time reaction to the Padres. Are they a playoff team or not?
Let me tell you something. That's not a hot take.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not
like,
a hot take.
I think that's a very objective. I'm giving my reasons behind it. Let me kind of list out for you why I think this wouldn't work for the San Diego Padres. Here's what he's not saying. I think at the end of the day, it's the rotation that's the biggest question mark for the Padres. Can you rely on those players to win you X amount of games to get to the postseason? Can you rely on those starters to go 5 innings? I mean, how many starters do they have today that are giving them 5 innings? And then you're taxing your bullpen and obviously putting a lot of stress on your relievers. And you got to almost be perfect in some of these games. So I think maybe a Padre fan doesn't want to hear that from Jeff Passan, but I don't take anything he said. Oh, you know what? He just doesn't like the Padres. It's a pretty fair comment to have there. And if that played out that way, I don't think people in Major League Baseball would be shocked by it.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, to your point, I completely agree with you. I mean, the Padres, mathematically speaking, at Fangraphs still 15? Only have a 15.5% chance of making the postseason. Now, that's not nothing, but
it's not high.
It's not higher than the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. It's not higher than the Arizona Diamondbacks. So they have work to do. And it's not just, by the way, this homestand. It's like, we're going to all celebrate it. I can see what Padres fans will do. They go 5-1 in the homestand. They move even in the wild card and they acquire a starter.
Arizona right
starting.
after. Yeah, no,
you're just starting a run where you still have to outplay teams like Pittsburgh and Arizona.
But here's what I think it would do. I think it like almost starts the playoffs for the Padres.
Yep.
It starts it in the sense that imagine if they were 5-6 games below 500, you started selling everything off. What the hell do you have to look forward to the rest of the season? You got nothing. So I think what it does is it's like they get through this stretch here. Let's say they go 4-2 over these next 6 games. They add a piece or two. You're starting to get some rumors of guys potentially coming back. Now you get into the final 2 months of the season, and basically every single game has a meaning to it. And that's not the same for the Brewers, or that's not the same for Tampa, or that's not the same for the Yankees. But I think for the Padres, basically as we sit here today, every one of these games has a slight more meaning to it because of 5-6 teams that you're fighting with for one spot.
And I completely agree with that. And now this like deadline thing, and you and I have been saying for 90 minutes and maybe longer, going back to this weekend against Miami, hey, it just looks like Preller's going to buy. We're not saying we would do it or they're perfectly positioned, but it looks like Preller's going to buy. When you say something like that, you almost have to expect unexpectedness. If that's a word. Like, yeah, there was the 2023 timid buy where they're like, we know we're not great, but we're not going to sell off because we have all these we're so marketable. We have Juan Soto and Tatis is back. We're not good, but we're not selling off. I mean, just because they're similar record to 2023, does that mean it's going to play out like 2023? Or could they try to take a big swing? I'm with you. They have the 30th best system or 29th. Maybe that'll be hard to accomplish. But just because they have an average record doesn't mean they only have like an average, buying cycle here.
He's got to be smart. Like, I think there is this, I think it's safe to say, let's use what Passan just put in his tweet. Is what Jeff Passan's saying about, look, I'm concerned about their starters, their rotation. You're dealing with all these other teams. I don't know about some of the injuries that they have. You could depend on any of these players. Does it feel like the Padres should be giving up their
whole farm
on this team?
Right. That's a good question.
You can make a case. If I'm the Milwaukee Brewers or if I'm Tampa.
All in. Go win a World Series.
Right? Like, there's a piece of that where no one would be upset at them for saying, well, what the hell are we here for? This is what we're doing it for.
Yep.
The Padres could give up the farm, and that doesn't even lock them into that final wild card spot.
Yeah, it could be on the outside. Yeah.
So I think there's just times, again, where you say to yourself, you go all in or you don't. Right now, it's like it's almost maybe you're checking or you're betting a small pot.
Yeah.
You're not being overly aggressive, and you're just seeing, can I just continue to go a little bit further in the hand and see if somebody else folds, see if somebody else panics? That's probably the analogy that I would give.
Kyle Newman from the Denver Post, Padres and Rockies tonight at 6:40. What do the Rockies think at the deadline? We'll talk to Kyle Newman on the other side here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres and Rockies are getting set for game 1 of their series down at Petco Park. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen going for the Rockies and Michael King going for the Friars. First pitch tonight is at 6:40. In NFL news, the Eagles and defensive tackle Jalen Carter have agreed to a 4-year, $152 million extension. 106 of that is guaranteed. The contract is the richest for a defensive tackle in league history. And in NBA note, Draymond Green has announced that he's going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year deal worth $27 million. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, Kyle Newman, Denver Post, is going to join us hopefully in a moment, Alan. My mistake for Brent. I gave Brent
get your stuff together.
I gave him his work phone number, not his cell phone. Who has even a work number? Like,
so now you're going to go.
At least I didn't call your college buddy again.
Oh my gosh.
Now you're going to go at the guest because he has a work number.
No, I'm going to me. Yeah, kind of. I'm going at him. Dude, 4 or 5 times my college roommate had the same name as a guest, and we kept calling my college roommate because I'd give Brent that number, and my college roommate wanted to kill me. He's like, "Can you stop calling me from iHeart San Diego?"
Is he still have the same number? We should try to call him at 5.
Just put him on the air.
Yeah, let's just try.
Hey, Mike.
See what happens.
How are you, man?
Mike, what's up, brother? You're on.
Me? And Mike Miller, and not the former NBA player.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Fraternity brother at Penn State.
You give the wrong number and then you start complaining about having a work number.
This basically me.
How so?
I like to blame everyone else when I make a mistake.
And the person I called was really mad that I kept calling them.
Oh, he was so mad. My buddy.
Why was he that angry?
Because why are we calling him? Because what happened? We were trying to get him on. So Brent called him 4 times in a 12-minute period. He's like, giving his 2-year-old son a bath or something.
Okay. Yeah, at that point. Yeah, you probably don't want to.
Why am I getting this call?
I don't want to call
over and over and over again. All right, Kyle Newman with the Denver Post back with us here. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Padres Rockies beginning a 2-game series.
Nothing on the work number.
Yeah, my bad. See, Kyle, I had 2 numbers for you in my phone. One I think is maybe a work number, and another is, of course, your cell phone. That's how we texted earlier. I had my producer call your work number by mistake, which was a bad idea.
Is it active, Kyle?
It was actually my wife, but it's no big deal, guys.
Wait, hold on.
That's
why
awesome.
would I? Here's a further question. Why do I have your wife's phone number?
I have gone through periods where my phone is broken and I just don't replace it for however long. So you probably called me on that number at one point.
That's hilarious.
So my wife just called me. She said, the radio just called me.
That is amazing.
Here we are.
This is great. All right.
Awesome.
Kyle Newman is with us, not his wife, from the Denver Post. Padres and Rockies coming up tonight from Petco at 6:40. Kyle, this is kind of fascinating. Rockies last year won 43 games. This year they've won 42 games. It's July, but they need to continue, obviously, to expedite some type of rebuild. What can they do at the deadline to put themselves in a better position, I guess, in 2027?
Well, they got to be sellers, or at least looking to sell just about everyone on the roster. And talking with Rockies boss Paul DePodesta, there is no one that is completely not tradable. I straight up asked him about Hunter Goodman. Is he not tradable? And Paul left the door open, slightly cracked, saying if the hall's big enough, we would trade anyone. Now, do I think they're going to trade Goodman? No, but they got to look to trade a lot of pieces on this roster. Antonio Cinzatella being one of them, converted starter, converted to reliever, has had a pretty good season in the pen, even though he's fallen off a little bit. He's got a $14 million team option for next year, and, it just doesn't make sense to keep him, trade him. Some of these starters, Sugano, coming over from the Orioles last year, but Japan, he's a superstar in Japan. He's been their best starter this year. I would look to trade him. Some of their outfield pieces, Mickey Moniak's been a good player for a couple seasons now. I would look to trade him. And, maybe Troy Johnston, who they claimed off waivers. in the offseason from Miami. He's been a near 300 hitter as well. They've got some outfield depth where they could afford to make some trades out there. Now, all this being said, they need starting pitching depth. They need starting pitching depth on the farm, and they need some of those in return for this trade. But most of the prospects acquired at the deadline, no matter what deal you're looking at, vast majority will be fringe major league players at best. So it's a roll of dice whenever you're trading, guys with this big league service time for prospects. And maybe Paul DePodesta likes the core that he's got, and maybe he'll be a little more conservative unless it's worth it. Every position player on this roster is under contract going into next season. As you guys just mentioned, they're on pace for, I think, 99 losses right now, which would be a 20-win improvement. That would be huge. So, all that being said, there's a possibility that they don't make a ton of moves. So we'll see.
Kyle Newman, taking some time to join us here, part of the Denver Post on the Schaefer and Sliwa show. Kyle, how to have 99 losses and make it a 20-game improvement? They haven't made the postseason, I think, since 2018. Typically, when we talk about the NL West, it's like, well, the Rockies will be at the bottom, and then whoever's fighting, the other four teams that are fighting after that. Can you just give us what has been the Rockies' problem? How come they have not been able to be just more of a consistent threat in the NL West? And just however you want to go with that, you can feel free to go. But it just feels like they're always towards the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't made the playoffs since 2018. They had those back-to-back playoff appearances. And you look at those rosters, a lot of homegrown guys on those rosters. And then they filled in a couple pieces with some key free agent additions. So, without writing a novel here, the basic problem is the Rockies are a draft and development organization, and they have not drafted well the last 8 or so years. They haven't developed well. They've missed on a ton of first-round picks. They've missed on a ton of second-round picks. And it's kind of just been a snowball effect. And, then let's also be honest, they've whiffed on some big free agent contracts. Ian Desmond going back, to that 18, 19 range. And then obviously Chris Bryant is the albatross on this roster, man. $27 million he's getting paid this year. He's under contract for a couple more years at that same rate. And he has not done anything. And quite honestly, he's done. He's finished. I mean, he's got a degenerative back issue. I don't see him ever playing baseball again. So the Rockies have got to figure out what they're going to do there. And what they're going to do is they're going to end up eating the money. But that's what's gone on here. They haven't drafted well. They haven't developed well. They've had a number of guys who they've been high on get to the majors, just kind of wash out. And that's just a recipe for going nowhere in a division as loaded as the NL West is, with teams like the Dodgers and the Padres who are willing to spend, the Giants who are a lot more savvy, and even the Diamondbacks who, not a powerhouse, but shoot, they made the World Series 3 years ago. So you put all that together, and it's been a long, dark tunnel for these Rockies.
Kyle Newman is with us from the Denver Post. The other side of the coin here is obviously the Padres, who are kind of caught in no man's land all of a sudden. They're getting older. They've got this expensive roster. They've got bad contracts too. Look no further than Xander Bogaerts. Are you surprised at their overall struggles? This has been a fairly consistent playoff team. They haven't fully gotten over a hump, but they've been a playoff team, and they're scratching and fighting right now to have a chance to get back in here in 2026.
Yeah, I am a little surprised, to be honest. Now, the Padres are one of those teams that it seems like they're always right around the mix. And then either they can make the playoffs or, they fail. What was that, last year or 2 years ago? To 5 games in the divisional series and had the Dodgers right on the ropes before the Dodgers went on to win the World Series. So they got the pieces. They've had some great pitching. They've got some, great position players. Obviously Tatis, headlining that. And I am a little surprised at just kind of the ebb and flow there. But guys, man, it's a tough division. I mean, the AL East, let's give that division some credit with the Rays, Red Sox, Yankees, Blue Jays, even though they're down this year. That's probably the toughest division in the AL. But the NL West is by and far the toughest division on the senior circuit. And it's just very little room for error when you're in the same division as the Dodgers, because basically every year you're playing for the wild card spot. And then you're playing against those other, bubble teams across the league. I've written before, the Rockies and maybe the Padres too should look to the Brewers, for this blueprint, because the Brewers year after year are in it. They made the playoffs 7 out of the last 8 years, NLCS last year. They find guys like Jacob Mrazorowski in the second round out of JUCO, and now all of a sudden he's a generational talent. They develop well, and then once players get too expensive, they're willing to move on, and they can move on because they have guys come up behind them. It's a small market blueprint that the Rockies, who have had a higher payroll than the Brewers consistently over the last 10 years, need to emulate. And maybe the Padres could take a page out of that book too.
So it takes some time to get to that. I mean, we'll see what happens with the labor agreement, but certainly right now, Padres, their book's definitely not as clean as the Milwaukee Brewers. Kevin, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Every time we have a guest on coming from a different market, I'm always curious to see what it is that you think is best for baseball as we move into 2027 and these labor negotiations continue. You're in a market that is drastically different than some of the top 5, top 7, top 8 markets in Major League Baseball. What do you think is healthy for the sport moving forward? What would you like to see in some of these labor negotiations when they do happen? And, maybe how that reflects Colorado in this process.
Yeah, well, to start, I'm not optimistic that we're not going to get some sort of, lockout, a labor stoppage. I don't think next season is going to start on time. I kind of go back and forth on this because to be honest, there's been a lot of clamoring for a salary cap, obviously, from the owner's side. I don't think that's totally necessary. I know the Dodgers have been on a dominant run and a spending spree lately, but traditionally there's been pretty good parity in baseball. And I mentioned the D-backs making the World Series a few years ago along with the Rangers. That sort of matchup kind of indicates and it shows you can buy a certain amount of talent, but there's also ways to be competitive without that. Now, maybe I would like to see some more better revenue sharing amongst the teams in terms of media rights and maybe that putting, more teams on an equal playing field. But we've seen, the richer teams are not afraid to just blow by the luxury tax threshold and just pay that, in order to sign several big contracts each off season. So I'll be interested to see how all this plays out. And it's interesting, guys, because Dick Monfort is central on the owner side. The Rockies owner is central on the owner side and the negotiating committee. And he's going to be central in these labor negotiations and how this all shakes out. Now, the Rockies, are in a kind of a unique sense because the Monforts are one of the more, cash poor owners in baseball. Other owners that have other industries where they've made money and, the baseball's a side thing. No, the Rockies and the real estate around Coors Field, that is the Monfort's business. And they stand to lose, I think, more than other owners if there is a lockout and there can't be, a full 81-game slate played at Coors. So it'll be interesting to watch it all unfold in these next few months. I'm not optimistic that it's going to come to fruition in terms of a new deal before the next season starts.
No, there's always 2028. Kyle, appreciate
He's always very optimistic
hopefully
here.
We'll have
Huge.
hopefully by 2027. We'll have a 4-game season after the 2020 60-game season. Kyle, appreciate you doing it, man. Always enjoy your perspective. Thanks for doing it today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, great stuff, Kyle Newman with the Denver Post.
Call his cell next time.
Don't call his wife?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't call his wife next time. On the other side, I called his cell. It's just his wife's cell. All right, what Draymond Green had to say about LeBron James not choosing the Warriors.
Golden State Warriors.
Why didn't LeBron James choose the Golden State Warriors? We'll hear that on the other side. Plus, Craig Stammen, Padres manager, speaking before Tonight's game gets underway against the Rockies. You'll hear from Craig Stammen coming up. We're giving away Toto tickets on the other side. We'll tell you how to win those tickets coming up next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, we're going to hear from Craig Stammen, the manager of the San Diego Padres, coming up in about 10 minutes. Now, in about 6 minutes,
He got
Alan,
the job?
He did. He got the job.
It's huge.
Did you see that? It's a big story.
It's huge.
He got the job. Yeah,
All
we
right,
should have
man.
talked about that earlier. Good job for Craig.
Maybe Stammen.
Coming up in 6 minutes, we're giving away Toto tickets.
Okay.
Okay. We'll tell you how to win those tickets in 6 minutes. If you want to see Toto in San Diego, August 12th, be listening for your chance to win those tickets. We'll get back to the Padres in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yep.
Draymond Green had some interesting things to say about why LeBron James didn't choose the Golden State Warriors. Now, he also elected to re-sign, as Brent's been telling you all day long. He's back with Golden State.
27? I think 27 for 1 year.
So what was the deal? He opted out in the pursuit of LeBron James, but then they didn't land him, so he came back?
Yeah, I think they had that flexibility. All right, I'll opt out. But I think he opted in and took the exact same amount that he was going to get.
Gotcha.
The ironic thing is that he was going to take a pay cut so they could, quote, air quote, afford LeBron. And then LeBron pretty much signed for free with Philly.
I know. That's a good point. Well, let's hear from Draymond Green on LeBron James's decision and react.
If you go back to Cleveland, even if you go back to Cleveland and win the championship, it's not going to be as good as 2016. If you go to Miami and win a championship, it's not going to be as good as 2012, 2013. Those two places kind of got eliminated just because. You look at Golden State, and I ultimately don't think Brown was ever able to get over the history. And I understand it. I get it. What we all ultimately always knew is like, that's the hurdle to get over. We live in a day and age where everybody who doesn't have anything to say have something to say. And so he's going to get crushed if he comes to the Warriors. Oh, man, you went to team up with Steph. You had to go to them, da-da. And I think ultimately that weighed in on the decision a lot. That played a big role in the Warriors not landing LeBron.
Was that cut up, by the way he spoke? He said, okay, it was.
Yeah, I think it was. I think on his
speaking
on his
in very
podcast.
tight terms. Okay.
Couldn't disagree more with Draymond. I really couldn't. I don't think people were looking at the Golden State Warriors like it was KD joining the Warriors back in whatever year that was.
Years ago.
I think he's misreading this. I think he didn't join the Golden State Warriors is because they don't have a chance of winning an NBA championship.
Right, exactly.
And I think if he joined the Warriors, I think the expectation, like many people said, was, hey, it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Draymond are boys. Steph Curry, obviously their relationship and playing together in the Olympics. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't even remember those championships, those finals that they were going up against each other. It was a long time ago.
Been a while.
I mean, he was with the Lakers for 8 years. They never crossed paths with the Golden State Warriors in anything significant. Maybe they played in a playing tournament or something like that.
So you're going back a decade.
I don't think people were thinking about that. Like, if Draymond Green wants to think that it was too difficult. Now, listen, maybe that's what LeBron told him, and that's his boy, and maybe they had side conversations. But as somebody that consumes the NBA, I would have never looked at LeBron going to the Golden State Warriors and said, basically what Draymond saying. I actually think opposite. I think him going to Philadelphia indicates everything that you need to know. He's ring chasing. He's trying to go get another ring.
Golden State, maybe you need to be on the outside looking in because he's not able to be honest with himself. They're old and tired. They just are. I mean, everyone is aware of that, maybe other than themselves.
1000%.
Adding LeBron, by the way, doesn't make them younger. It's the classic example of so cool on paper. Wow. Some of the best players ever. Steph Curry and LeBron James. Literally two of the best players ever. And then you recognize that it's like a boxing fight when you have two 48-year-olds fighting. They're not 29 anymore. It's a different fight. I'm with you. Maybe I'm not saying that this is a good... the narrative might be you're a little bit of a hired gun if you're LeBron James. You are just ring chasing. It clearly doesn't impact him if that is the narrative. And I respect it because I'd prefer to see him try to win as opposed to just ride off into Golden State. Yeah, so he's trying to win. There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't like his narrative either of you didn't come here because then people on social media would say that, you had to go. They're not saying that already with him going to Philadelphia. They're going to say that regardless of where he went, unless he went to Sacramento or something.
And I don't think they're saying that if he goes to Golden State. Just tell me what the Warriors would have been with LeBron. Tell me if they would have been, if they would have been a true threat in that Western Conference. I don't think they would have. Again, I think it would be entertaining. It would be fun. All right. They got nationally televised games. You can watch them all. But I just that's not what I thought of when the Warriors came up. I never thought that was something that my narrative would change on LeBron.
Get out of the West. We saw San Antonio and Oklahoma City. These teams are uber elite. Oklahoma City, I get it. Luka was out. They swept the Lakers. Oklahoma City and San Antonio went 7 games. It was epic theater.
And that's
You're
without
not
their
on that
second
level.
best player.
Yes, exactly.
It's without Jalen Williams.
So I just feel like
it was Wemby's first playoff run.
Exactly. And they were
got
in
to
the NBA Finals and favorite heading into that series. All right, we're going to hear from Craig Stammen on the other side. But if you want to see Toto here in San Diego with Christopher Cross and the Romantics, August 12th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, call us right now because caller 4, you are going. You've got a 4-pack of tickets. 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want to see Toto, August 12th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Caller 4, you have 4 free tickets, but you need to call right now. The number to call is 877-767-4760. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Craig Stammen, Padres manager, on the other side here on Schaefer and Slay with San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. Padres and Rockies are getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen going for Colorado and Michael King on the hill for the Friars. First pitch tonight is at 6:40. In NFL news, the Eagles and defensive tackle Jalen Carter have agreed to a 4-year extension worth $152 million. 106 of that is fully guaranteed. The contract is the richest for a defensive tackle in NFL history. And one NBA note, Draymond Green is going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. Running business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, final hour, Alan, Schaefer, and Sliwa. That's it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. No, final hour here. We have tickets to give away this hour as well. And the tickets are Santana tickets. And if you want to win them, you need to tell us why you want to see Santana by using our talkback mic. If you've never used it, it's so simple and easy. Open up the free iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the talkback microphone. Just tell us your name, where you're listening from, and why you want Santana tickets. We've got a 4-pack for August 11th. Do that. You're automatically entered to win. We'll announce a winner this hour.
Let's go. Get in there.
Santana's a legend. Sing me a song or two from Santana.
Maria, Maria.
No, don't do that. Don't sing.
Yeah.
Although that was actually Maria.
Yeah, that was
that Rob Thomas.
West Side.
It might be.
That's Rob Thomas.
That might be. Yeah.
He does the guitar for it.
But isn't he? Yeah, he's doing the.
No, he sings Santana songs.
Yeah, but that's the song I know of Santana.
Brian, give me another Santana.
That's arguably the most popular.
Did he have? Wasn't Voodoo Woman
of our little, at least my generation?
Is it? No, Santana has very popular songs. Very popular.
Well, don't say he's got very popular songs and then not be able to name them off.
Como va? Oye, como va?
Yeah.
You know it?
Yeah. You sing it now.
I did.
We have amazing voices, man.
That's why we're in radio.
Just amazing voices.
All right, Craig Stammen has spoken with the media.
Black Magic Woman is the song I was thinking of.
Oh, Black Magic Woman. Yes, it's a great song. Well, if you want to see Santana, hit us up on the talk.
There you go.
And you could win a 4-pack of tickets this hour. All right, Craig Stammen has spoken with the media. Where's this start, Brent? All right, he starts with the 5-5 road trip the Padres are coming off.
Yeah, it was a good finish for us, left us with a good taste in our mouth, and allows us to bring some momentum into this homestand.
Now you're facing 2 sub-500 teams ahead of the trade deadline. How do you kind of view that as an opportunity, but also recognize, they are big league clubs, of course?
Yeah, I think that you just said it right there. Every team's a major league team. They've got major league players. We just had a draft. All these guys got drafted in the same way, and they may not be playing good this year, but they have the capability of beating anybody.
What is the importance of this week for you guys? How do you balance knowing that the trade deadline is looming and you are trying to make a statement about what it is that you'd like AJ to do?
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, the trade deadline doesn't really matter. It's like the rest of the season, and we've got to play well the rest of the season, this week, the next week, the week after that, the week after that, the week after that. So this week carrying more importance than the next 6 weeks probably doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I know that there's a deadline. It's always good to look at deadlines and try to figure out a way, but these 6 games are just as important as the last 6 games.
Okay, so as of late, you guys have kind of had this all hands on deck approach with the pitching staff, but to have a guy like Michael King, who's really been someone you've been able to rely on throughout the season, what does that kind of do for you as a manager, just in terms of what you're having to do in game?
Yeah, hopefully Michael pitches well tonight like he normally does, and I don't have to make pitching moves early like I have, the other ways. But I think with Michael, he's just a solid major league starter. He's our best pitcher. He's our ace, and when you have an ace like that, you count on him to kind of give everybody a little bit of breather in the bullpen and give the starting, the rest of the starters a breather too, and a template to, how to beat the teams that he's facing.
Greg, how difficult is a week like this for the team? I mean, Manny sounded kind of exhausted coming off that long stretch. You have multiple guys in that clubhouse dealing with trade rumors. How difficult is this a week like this for guys?
Yeah, I think the trade rumor stuff is not theirs. It's just brought onto them randomly. Like, who knows if they're even true? Most of them aren't. And I think it's realizing that's the fact and that they've just got to do their job, answer the questions that you guys give them about that stuff. But then their job is go out and play baseball, and all that stuff's kind of out the window.
And AJ had said after the draft that how this team plays on the stretch. What do you think you showed on this road trip?
Say that again.
What do you think you showed on this road trip?
I showed that we got fight. Like, we've shown that all year, where we can look like we're down and out, and then we come back and come out smelling like roses. So this team will never give up. They will continue to fight. We've seen it a ton of times late in games. And I think that's a really good attribute to have going forward for the rest of the year.
You mentioned Jackson and some of the adjustments after Sunday's win. Can you shed any more light on what the change was that allowed him? I think you said freed him up to compete a little bit, look more like himself.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. Just, he's working in the cage every single day, trying to find, a feeling that allowed him to be who he is at the plate. And he found that feeling, and now he's a lot freer, and the results have kind of come, at the end of that, which is nice. It's always, sometimes you feel things and you don't get the results. He's gotten the results relatively quickly, and that gives you a lot of confidence going forward.
When you're hired, there's a lot of talk about like your experience in the clubhouse, your experience with these guys, being a player. Like, have you found that to be an asset during kind of an up and down season where you're having to kind of navigate some stuff, and now you seem to be in a better spot?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an asset in that regard. It's been just an asset overall because they know who I am, and they know kind of what I'm going to be like on most days if I'm, consistent. And I also know what they're going to be like on most days, consistent. It's the good and the bad. We know enough about each other to be okay with both. And I think that allows us to get past some of the tough times together or some of the good times together and just be ready to go and compete.
What's the plan for Estrada? He's back.
Yeah, he's here today. He's going to throw, his normal rehab, and then, hopefully he's active here in a couple of days.
How would the reports been? I know there's shorter rehab appearances, like an hour or two.
Yeah, they've been good. Yeah, really good.
Do you have a pitching plan for tomorrow?
Do we have a pitching plan? It's TBD.
Is it contingent on tonight, potentially?
Yeah, I think outside of Michael King and Walker Buehler, the other 3 days in the rotation are going to be, based on the previous day, the previous 2 days. And, yesterday was an off day, so maybe a little bit. We have a lot more options probably because of that. And then we'll decide, based on the opponent, based on what we think the lineup will be and who we think's most available and most effective.
Do you enjoy that part as a former pitcher and reliever to patchwork it like this?
I mean, it's a lot easier to line up 5 starters that you feel, really comfortable. That's just easier. Is this fun? I don't know. It depends what kind of fun you're thinking of.
Do you feel equipped to do it because of your experience?
You know what? They got a lot of good people around me too. I'm not the only one, helping try to formulate this plan. Ruben's been through this. Ben Fritz has been through this. Peter Somerville, Chris Apicicea, the whole pitching group, myself, Randy Nor's been through stuff like this, Kevin Plawecki. So all of us putting our heads together, trying to come up with good collective decision-making and, put these pitchers in the best situation to succeed. I do have some experience with it as a player. And so my job is hopefully communicating in the right way, how it was communicated to me in the right way so that they have clarity and are able to have success.
With the opportunity to add over the next 7 days, do you have a wish list that, you do float upstream?
The 26 guys we got right here are exactly who I need and who we need to win it all.
Do you have an update on Simon Taylor and also what's the next step for Pivetta and Musgrove?
Yeah, all those guys are on the medical report that we hand out to you. Samad is in Arizona. I think he took swings the last time he was there or yesterday. So he's trending in the right direction. Joe and Nick just threw their live BP. Next step still to be determined, but they came out of it really good. They've thrown a bullpen since and, should be rocking and rolling going forward.
When did they throw those live BPs?
Probably about 4 or 5 days ago now.
Not quite.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough.
Been a lot that's happened
from Stammen. That was kind of fascinating. And 2 fronts. One, he said the 26 we have is enough to win it all. Did you buy that?
No.
Okay, I agree. The other thing that I found fascinating was
you don't have to say that.
Well, but he he said the opposite when he said it's a lot easier just to have a 5-man rotation. Because earlier he was like, he basically made the point that we need 5 starters and we don't have it. So now we got to figure that all out every day. The TBD. Mm-hmm. And then he said the 26 I have is all we need to win a World Series. That's going too far, obviously. Right?
Well, he's right on the figure it out. I don't have 5 starters.
Right.
Because he doesn't. And if you watch the Padres play, they're also telling you, and they're very aware of this, they don't have 5 starters. We all know that. And by the way, I think there's, some creativity that comes into play here. Stammen's obviously, and AJ Preller, I'm sure the front office is involved, of just had attack every single game where Michael King is in pitching, and potentially, Walker Buehler's probably going to give you close to 5. Okay. I'm not trying to make it sound like Walker Buehler's amazing, but compared to some of the other starters that the Padres have, he's been all right this year. The whole 26 to win it all, I never understand, what does he think? And again, look, Stammen's done. Let's not forget Craig Stammen is walking into a situation this year. It's not a perfect roster. He didn't hire himself. Somebody else thought, hey, this is the right man for the job. 2 years in a row under Mike Schilt, the Padres make the playoffs and 90-plus wins. He's got a ton of injuries that he's dealing with. So this isn't all on Craig Stammen, but why do you feel like you have to say something that's just, it's not authentic? You don't have to say it, nor do you have to try to even argue about it. He could just say, look, the deadline, if there's ways they can improve the roster, they're gonna try to do everything they can. For us, we believe in this team. We'll keep working our asses off every single day, and we'll see where the cards lie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a stretch. Like, if you won a World Series with this exact roster and this rotation, this is like the equivalent of turning water into wine. But it is very improbable. I mean, it would. Well,
he doesn't have to also demolish his team and his 26-man roster.
We need to. I mean,
but you don't have to say, yeah, well, we got enough to win it all here.
I mean, you don't have a second starter. If the playoffs started tomorrow and you were in it, you have one starter.
Yeah.
You could piecemeal together a game. Craig Stammen started game 3 against the Cardinals in 2020 that they won before they went to Texas to take on the Dodgers in that best of 5 when they had no starting pitching and got swept. Okay, you could piecemeal together a game. That was ridiculous, by the way, that game 3. To do it over and over
there's
again.
There's been bullpen days in the postseason,
but not all of them, right?
No, of course.
Yeah, I don't
it's a
know
game
if there's
4 or something.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an example of a team with one starter.
No, there isn't.
Right. I think you need to have 2.5, 3 to give yourself at least a shot.
Right.
I mean, I go back to 2024, the Joe Musgrove injury against Atlanta, then prevented him from pitching against the Dodgers in game 4.
That's go Dylan Cease on 3 days rest.
Right. Now you need
and that was a big question in game 4 of whether you're putting Dylan Cease out. And obviously they did, and those numbers don't. Guys on 3 days rest, those are not good stats to have. And there's a reason why you're doing it in that position. Obviously, Musgrove.
Well, maybe they could throw King on no days rest. He could throw games 1 and 2 and 3 if they make the postseason.
Do 1 and 2, and then
Walker Buehler.
Give him a day off after that.
All right. Some fascinating work in The Athletic today from Dennis Lin about players with no trade clauses in their contract and what it means this time of year. Plus, let's hear from Mason Miller, because this is a interesting time for Miller as well, with his name being brought up each and every day about his future. Will it be in San Diego or not? We'll hear from Mason Miller, that audio courtesy of Marty Caswell. On the other side, giving away Santana tickets here until 6 on Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, with the iHeartRadio app, you can stream us wherever you are 24 hours a day. Just search for San Diego Sports 760 to stream us live all day, every day. You can leave your comments for us using the talkback microphone. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want us to talk about. Make us a preset so we pop up each time you open up the app. San Diego Sports 760, always live on the iHeartRadio app. You haven't taken the jumper in a while.
What are you talking about? Oh, here, I'll make that. But here's the thing. I'm going to go underhand.
Okay. Yeah. No, you can't. You don't have enough space.
Here, watch this. Watch this. Okay? Crumpled up piece of paper into the trash can. This is easy.
Cash. Oh.
See that arc? That was
a really good arc.
Rain, dude.
That reminded me of a young Ray Allen.
Very like 2-year-old. 18-month-old Ray Allen.
That was Glenn Rice back in the day. I mean, just cash pocketed in the corner. You know what was so cool about that shot too? What? You turned around while the ball was still in the air.
Steph Curry stuff, right? Does Steph do that? He's done that.
Steph has done this. Like
he's done that.
Coldest moves I've ever seen. What NBA player is confident enough that he's taken a corner three and decides while the ball's in the air, yeah, that's going in. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to look at my bench. What?
I need to find, there's a game, Brent might remember this, with the Aztecs, Micah Parrish, who was on the national championship team. He was on the floor at the end of the FAU game when Lamont hit the shot. There was a game I want to say after Maui against UC Irvine. I could have the opponent wrong, but I think it's Irvine. And the Aztecs are in trouble. This is the year they go to the national championship game. Yeah. They're down like too late with like seconds left. He shoots a corner three, left corner three, down 2 with like 3 seconds left, turns around before it goes in, they win. I kid you not. I'll find the video for you. It's incredible. Like, wow, that's confidence. Like, this is with 2 seconds left.
He turned around for a buzzer beater like that's
it was
cash.
Like 2 seconds left.
It's going in?
Yeah. Kid you not. I'll find you the video.
What did Dutch do in that moment?
I don't know. I think he was just thankful that they won the game.
Ted went crazy.
Yeah, you probably have that audio somewhere.
Did you imagine Dutch like, do me a favor? Why don't you go ahead and face the basket for the entire time?
It was insane. It was insane.
It was, you'll remember this, Alan. It was just like when Nick Young did it, only he made a shot. Remember Nick Young tried that and he missed and he bricked it?
Yeah. Nick Young's like the famous meme of putting his hands up and starting to turn around. I think Kemba Walker had one of those. Can you imagine how many kids in like middle school and high school said, I saw Steph Curry do this, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they hit the side of the backboard.
Yeah, exactly.
And the coach is like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I saw Steph do it.
That's exactly right. We're going to hear from Mason Miller in one moment. I did want to, can I just mention this? So you know how they have the media polls in college football, like, oh, Ohio State's supposed to win the Big Ten or Alabama, the SEC, who cares? The ACC media poll made me chuckle because the team that was picked to finish in last place, that didn't make me laugh. It's Stanford. They're picked to finish in 17th place. But in parentheses, teams have first place votes in parentheses. Stanford, the team picked to finish last, has 1 first place votes. Like, how's that even possible? You had a first place vote and you were picked 17th?
Okay, wait.
We got your own coach.
We got to stop here because I think there's a bigger topic here
than that.
Stanford's football. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's absolutely ridiculous. Stanford football
picked 17th in their league.
What?
17th. They went in 3 straight Rose
Where's
Bowls.
Cal?
12. Boston College is 16.
So are these former Pac-12 schools all okay with this?
They're cool with just finishing in 13th place every year? I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, listen, there's got to be a reason, right? Like, is it just the financial part of it where it's like, that's fine. We'll just sit at the absolute bottom.
17th place, dude. They used to go to Rose Bowls.
Our people, Stanford was a freaking program. Are people fans of UCLA just okay of being the most irrelevant college football team by far, or at least one of the most irrelevant in the Power Four?
That's a good point.
That's why I think some of them are going to come back as soon as their contract's up.
That's kind of the point.
And that's the only, I think that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. And we've heard JD talk about this. Like, they're okay with that. Let me ask you this. And listen, the answer we might have an answer to this. If I told you San Diego State was joining the ACC tomorrow, okay,
I'm in,
and they're in a Power Four, but they're going to be
18th?
17th or 18th. What would you say to that?
I think it's different though, because Cal Stanford were already at that level and they've won at they've been in Rose Bowls.
Okay.
Where I would see San Diego State like, hey, you have an opportunity, but it's your first time presented with it and you can go up. Where it feels like with Cal Stanford and UCLA, you're stuck.
Plummeting.
You're like, I'm looking right now. UCLA this year in the Big Ten, the media poll came out today.
Okay.
And they're actually picked, quote unquote, high 13th in the Big Ten. But to your point, are you ever going to finish in the top half?
They're a layup for a lot of these Big Ten schools.
Right. You're playing Ohio State and Michigan and Indiana now.
By the way, you don't even have to talk about the cream of the crop.
SC.
Nebraska, Wisconsin, like there's other schools.
That's a good point.
Purdue, like there's
Oregon.
other programs.
We haven't even mentioned Oregon. There's like 8 schools. I know. It's insane.
That's wild.
Do we want to hear from Mason Miller here or on the other side?
We do it on the other side.
Do it. But it's just, yeah. Do you agree though? If I told you right now, San Diego State's going to the ACC tomorrow.
Yeah, I would.
And they're picked 17th in the league, but it's their first time in the P4. Wouldn't you say, well, there's room for growth?
Okay, let me play out 2 scenarios. Okay. Your first or second, let's say you're in the Pac-12 championship game.
Right. This year.
But like you're consistently in it. You're consistently in the Pac-12 championship
2 out of
game.
every 3 years.
Or you're in the ACC, but you're on the bottom of the ACC. One of the worst couple of schools in the ACC.
Conference.
Which one is better for San Diego State University? You can make it. Listen, I'm not going to pretend here. I'm not going to pretend here. There is wild allure of getting in one of those P4s. Period and point blank.
Yeah, I think the fans would tell you P4. It's kind of like, do you want the NBA at Pachango Arena with the Clippers from, I'm making it up, 80 to 84, averaging 21.5 wins? Or do you not want the NBA? Now, I think the Aztecs' future, if they got into a P4, would be brighter than some random NBA team winning 20 games every year, because I think they've invested in proving.
Yeah, but they're not losing. Like, I don't know if that Clipper comp counts because the Clippers are no longer here.
No, I guess, but that's my point being, the people would want what's on the other shoe. Like if you ask people right now, do you want to win the Pac-12 or do you want to be in the ACC? I think most people would tell you they want to be in the ACC. Yeah. They might be right.
But I get it. And I understand that because they're also looking at what's the competition going to be like. Exactly. They're also looking at,
like, do you want to play Miami at Snapdragon Stadium? Because they're in the ACC.
Of course you do.
You want to play Florida State?
Absolutely.
You want to play Cal and Stanford?
And then the question then becomes, well, then what does that do to all these other students, all these other high schoolers who are in Southern California that are like, hey, we could be at San Diego State and still play Miami and
have the access to the college football playoff, which you have here, but it's a different conversation. My Clipper analogy maybe wasn't great. All right, Mason Miller.
It confused me.
Mason Miller on the other side on the trade deadline this week and what it means for him and the team. Plus, if you want to win those Santana tickets, just tell us why you want to see Santana in San Diego by opening up the iHeartRadio app and searching for San Diego Sports 760 and clicking the red talkback mic. Just tell us why you want to go to the show and you are entered to win. We'll announce a winner coming up between now and 6 p.m. That's a 4-pack of tickets, by the way. Mason Miller coming up next on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres and Rockies are getting set for game one of their 2-game set tonight down at Petco. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen going for the Rockies and Michael King going for the Friars. First pitch is at 6:40. In NFL news, the Eagles and defensive tackle Jalen Carter have agreed to a 4-year, $152 million extension. 106 of that is guaranteed. The contract is the richest for a defensive tackle in NFL history. And one NBA note, Draymond Green has announced that he is going to return to the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. Running business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa. We'll hear from Mason Miller in 1 second. I want to say this to you, Alan. You know, we spend all this time, they sweep the Marlins, they're playing the lowly Rockies.
Yeah.
We've played this game before, haven't we? Where it's like, oh, they got Michael King on the mound. Rockies are throwing someone with like a 7 ERA. Like, they're not going to be down like 8-0 in this game, right? This isn't that game where it's like you think everything is lining up in your favor, and then all of a sudden, like, reality smacks you in the face.
How many starts has Michael King had since the All-Star break? 2?
I would say 2.
I think they lost both of those games.
There's that crazy game against
the
KC.
7-6 Royals game, which I called you to vent right after.
And I think you're probably right. Where was the other game? In
and
Atlanta?
Then the Atlanta Braves game, it would have been the
game 3?
Either that 7-6 loss where they came all the way back.
That they were down 7-1?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was 1-1 for a while. Did he pitch in that game?
Michael
It was
King.
1-1 for a while.
He opened the game.
Both of those were like excruciating losses.
I know.
You know, it's not like he pitched.
So to answer your question, if you can lose a game with Michael King on the mound against the Kansas City Royals,
you could lose it
then
against
you
the
could
Rockies.
lose a game against the Colorado Rockies.
Good point. Let's hear from Mason Miller with the trade deadline coming up. This audio from our former colleague Marty Caswell. Mason Miller. This conversation starts with Miller on the team staying focused this time of year.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, every game's important from here on out for everybody. But yeah, it's crunch time. And coming home after a sweep feels really good. So, you know, not necessarily the road trip we hoped for in entirety, but finishing the way we did kind of allows us to come home and bring that momentum with us.
How much are you looking forward to this week being over from a personal standpoint?
I don't wish away a single day in the big leagues. So I just enjoy every single day. And for all of us, it's out of our control in terms of, you know, what might lie ahead. But, you know, what we do have control over is how we show up each day. And, you know, I think as a teammate and a part of this team, you know, it's our job to show up each day and bring your best.
The way you guys played in Miami, what the lineup is doing, how you kind of piecing together from a pitching standpoint, what does it say about where this team is at right now? I think it speaks to the group that we have. You know, we haven't necessarily realized all the expectations that we had of ourselves and people had of us this year, but that doesn't change the talent that we have here. You know, we've done everything well at different points during the year, so hopefully we're able to start doing it all collectively together now, and you know, anything can happen these last couple months. Stammen and a new coaching staff, like what have you seen from them just in terms of the way that they've kind of navigated the ups and downs and maybe helped the club get to this point?
Yeah, there's a lot of experience here in the locker room, in the coach's room, you know, maybe not as a coach, but as a player. So I think every single person here knows kind of what we've been through and, you know, been through that in some other point in their career too. So, you know, it's not something that's like caught us completely off guard or anything like that. It's just about finding a way to move forward cohesively as a team.
What sticks out to you when you think about this week last year?
Honestly, it's roughly about the same, I guess. You know, a lot of people talking, and you know, I love where I'm at. I love the team I was with last year too. You know, a lot of guys that I came up with and friends still. But yeah, it's, you know, looking back over the course of the year, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity here, and I love being a part of this group and this team and representing this organization and city. So, you know, as long as they let me continue to be here, I'm excited about that.
How do you navigate a week like this when, for the team as a whole, there's a wide range of kind of possibilities?
I know we're going to have a game tonight and tomorrow and the next day, so that's what I focus on.
You guys are chasing at least 4 teams in the wild card. What makes you confident that this team can figure it out and show that they're capable?
Yeah, it's a long season and a lot's gone into getting to this point for those teams and our team. Everybody's path looks different. I think we have enough confidence to look in the mirror and know that we have the talent that it takes to beat those teams. Not necessarily that's as easy as you just match yourself up against the teams in front of you, but we get the chance to play I think all those teams before the end of the year. So it'll be a good barometer when we get to those points. But, it's just staying focused each day. And we're not worried about what other teams are doing. We're just worried about what we're doing right now and kind of look at it as like we control where we're headed, whether it's up or down.
I can see why he has like a 0 ERA. Like the dude is locked in.
Monotone too.
Right.
Just, yeah.
No,
everything is
right.
Yeah, he's in his own world.
Isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he was traded last year. And guess what?
It's a great question by Darnay.
It was.
What were you thinking a year ago today, obviously before he was traded to the Padres? And, I like his answer. He said that he liked the team that he was on last year. A lot of those guys he came up with. And I don't think any of this is going to affect him. Because let's look at it from Mason Miller's perspective. Mason Miller is the best player on the San Diego Padres. You can figure out how you want to value a closer, but he's unbelievable. His stuff is absolutely dirty. He's incredibly young. He knows he's going to be a multi-millionaire in the future. If he stays with the San Diego Padres, then he knows that hopefully he's going to get a chance to be a part of a playoff run. If he gets traded to, you name whichever playoff contender that he gets traded for, he's going to be pitching in some big games come October.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a great position. So all he's got to do is worry about himself. Every time the Padres have called on him this year, he's come out and he's delivered. And the only thing that I hope for between now and the regular season is the more Mason Miller we get a chance to see, the higher the odds are that the Padres are winning games and we'll get a chance to play in October.
Yeah, again, it's like we've covered this sport. I've watched the sport. I've watched this team for so long. I've followed AJ Preller's entire career here. I just don't see it. It's not that I'm right. I'm putting all of the information available to my brain together in real time. I don't see them trading Mason Miller. And it's not solely about this team right now. It's the controllability piece that you were just touching on. It's the fact that Preller gave up what he gave up to get him. It's the fact that Preller wanted to draft this player out of high school but was unable to do so. Or maybe it was after his third year in college, whatever it is. He desired drafting him. He scouted him as a younger player. I put it all together, and the team being a game and a half out as well. And I don't see it. I know other people do. I mean, Jeff Passan's writing about it. Others are writing about it. I'm just telling you from my perspective, I don't see it.
A week ago, I think that conversation was different.
Maybe it was, yeah.
And I also think, again, we'll go back to something that we talked about a little bit earlier. Look, if AJ Preller, if there was a team desperate enough that just, I have to get Mason Miller.
Yep.
The way AJ Preller was a year ago. And he got an offer. Let me play out a scenario for you. Let's say he got what was the equivalent of what he traded a year ago.
Right. He got that return.
Do you think he would do it?
No.
I don't think so either.
More.
I think he would probably, and I say I don't think so because his personality is not, I just want to get back to even. Like, I think he would trade Mason Miller, and I'll tell you this, I don't think there's a 0% chance that a team's going to come in with a ridiculous offer.
No, either do I.
But, push comes to shove. Will that happen or won't it happen? And if he does get traded, then the Padres must have got to haul back. Because I think for all the reasons that you said, this is the type of player AJ Preller wants. He's been wanting this guy. This is the star player, he's under control. He's the face of your franchise. Today he's the face of your franchise. I get it. Manny, Tatis, I get all that. He was the only player representing your team at the All-Star game. Go to one of these games, hopefully tonight. Mason Miller's coming. Actually, I hope Mason Miller is not coming in tonight because I hope that's the case.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I will say this. If they continue to play well enough, and listen, this is not outside the realm. You're playing Colorado and San Francisco. Just play well enough, and you're almost taking that card away from AJ Preller's deck. Not that he's sitting there like, man, I can't wait to trade Mason Miller. I'm just saying, if they play well here,
Well,
it just makes the conversation all the more absurd to consider. Why would you trade him if you're in like a playoff position at the trade deadline, which is basically where they are right now?
We said this to start out the show. Jeff Passan had said the Padres have told teams that if you want access to Mason Miller, then nobody in your organization is off limits.
And I would assume that means the major leagues as well. Or is that just a minor league system? But I mean, if you want him, you're going to have to get ultra creative, clearly. And maybe they'll listen. I think he stays. And I think you think he stays as well.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much the entire time thought Mason Miller's not going to go anywhere unless the Padres just absolutely caved. And if they did, then I think there would be a different conversation, not just about Mason Miller. They could have if the Padres were 6 games below 500, Mason Miller could still be a part of the Padres. But I don't think Adrian Morejon would. I don't think Ty France would be. I think Michael King would be considered to be gone as well. So it doesn't have to be Mason Miller, even if they were selling.
No, Miller's even the extreme example, though, because like King, he's a rental, essentially. Like he's not going to be part of your 2020.
Those are easier. Those make more sense of why you get rid of them.
Exactly. All right. We didn't even get to something that we wanted to get to earlier, and that's about players with no trade clauses at the deadline and what it ultimately means. The Padres have a couple of them, including Xander Bogaerts. So we'll touch on that on the other side. We'll announce our winner as well of a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, final time here today, here until 6 p.m. We're not going to have time to play it. Manny Machado was with the media this afternoon. Padres haven't been home, Alan, in 3 weeks, right?
Let's say for tomorrow. I think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, to come tomorrow, who knows? Yeah, I mean, we've heard it before, but he goes down the path of the media is out to get us. The media writes negative things about us. Bud, you're 53 and 53. I mean, you've been kind of on the ropes.
Yeah, but I think Manny probably has, that's kind of followed him in his career. I think whether they're balling out or they're not, I think that's followed Manny.
But if they're balling out, are people being critical?
No, they're being a lot less critical.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think, I would just say this, and it's an interesting, whatever. We can't have the full conversation right now.
But
this is where, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Like, Manny knows the position he's in. You're making hundreds of millions of dollars. You're going to be criticized. That's just the position. I mean, he's hit for power, but he's still hitting whatever he's hitting this year. I mean, of course there's going to be criticism levied his way. This ain't Philadelphia, by the way.
I wonder if he's pulling a Dave Roberts. You remember when Dave Roberts made that big conniption fit over Manny tossing that ball in the dugout to rally the team and give them, an enemy, so to speak, to rally around?
Which I hate to say it was smart from him.
So
it was, I don't understand what Machado was doing. So
maybe this is Manny trying to use the media as the enemy to rally the team around. Look, they're saying we can't do this. They're saying we can't do this. Yeah. And
that's interesting.
He's played that card a lot.
Well, but let me give Manny this. And Machado could be, first off, he's feeling himself right now, right? He's playing better.
Mm-hmm.
And he is responsible for that sweep in Miami. And he is up to 23 home runs so far this year. And I know his average is his average, but it is up to 210 when at one point I think it was 170.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So Machado could also be, no, I don't want to hear all this praise right now about me or about the team or this sweep. You guys have been demolishing us for 2 months. I could see him being protective from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I can too, but I mean, the other side of it is you were 11 over and then you were 3 under. So for 2 months, you were 14 under.
Listen,
so you're going to be criticized.
For a media member it's justifiable to go after a team where there's expectations. It's justifiable to go after Manny Machado, who's arguably one of the most important players on your franchise, who's going to be making millions and millions of dollars every year for the next 7-8 years, whatever that number is, right?
Yeah.
All of that is completely fair. But Manny Machado is also an athlete who's competitive, who probably remembers you said this about me, you wrote that about me, and then 2 weeks later you're giving me some praise. There's probably just a competitive thing in Manny Machado.
I agree, and I would say this though: it's like, Manny, you've been in the big leagues for 15 years. Do you not get the game?
Yeah.
LeBron James has been in the NBA 24 years. He understands the game. LeBron James has been criticized to the nth degree in his career, yet he's going to go down as arguably the best basketball player in the history of the sport.
Each of these players, there's been plenty of times LeBron has gone back at media. There's been plenty of times where LeBron has challenged somebody else, or the Lakers lose a game, or the Cavs or Miami.
Things are going to happen in 25 years.
They're going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think, it just kind of comes with the territory. But I'm with you. Manny is more apt to do it than Tatis.
He is. I mean, honestly, I don't have an issue with it. I like the fact that he's true and authentic and transparent, but it does kind of also rub me the wrong way. I appreciate him doing it, but by doing it, it opens up this willingness for me to be more critical, because I don't know, some of it is like, you want to put it on the media. To Brent's point, maybe it's motivational for him. Maybe that's what he needs. He needs this constant enemy, this something to get yourself going, so to speak, avoid complacency. And he uses the media in that role.
Yeah, could be.
I felt like he's done that before. Maybe not. All right, today.
But he's also, I just say this, he's got to also learn that there's certain strategies that might work, some don't. And over the years, like you brought up the thing with the Dodgers in 2024 with Dave Roberts, I thought that was idiotic. Learn That's, like this, you try different things and some things work, some things don't. He's got to also, there needs to be a more mature Manny Machado that's going to help lead your team. And it can't be just the same exact Machado that you've got every year over the last 5 years.
Which I think is what it is. I think he has one card. I think he has one.
Yeah,
I
you might
really
be right.
do. Now, his on-field can be great. At its best, it's great. He's arguably, I went through this exercise yesterday with you briefly. He's going to go down as like one of the top 3 third basemen ever. He's going to be if he hits 500 home runs and 3,000 hits, he's the only third baseman ever if he does that. And by the way, it's completely within arm's reach. So that's how good he is capable of being. But then some of the other stuff, he just plays the same card over and over and over again. And that's the part to me that gets stale. It's not his on-field abilities. It's some of the things he does off the field.
Fair.
It's a conversation for forever. In The Athletic today, this was a fascinating admission or something that hadn't previously been reported on. Eric Hosmer saying that when he was dealt as part of that summer where Juan Soto went to San Diego and Hosmer had the no trade deal and he had to go to complete the Soto deal, Peter Seidler went to Eric Hosmer, who got the 8-year, $144 million deal, and offered him more money to waive the no trade clause. By the way, you can do that in a deal. You can get the additional clause to waive a no trade. He offered him more money, and Hosmer said, "You don't need to pay me more. You've already paid me $144 million. He just didn't want to go to the Nationals that year. He ended up going to the Red Sox in a different deal. It kind of held up the Soto deal for a moment. But Peter Seidler, like to the end, that's kind of who he was. He was willing to win. He was willing to spend. It never happened to the degree we wanted it to. But that's amazing. He gave Hosmer that deal, and then he was willing to give him more for him to essentially go away.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. If you see new ownership, the shoes they're going to be filling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I know John Seidler and the Seidler family has been there these last couple of years, but Peter Seidler is considered an absolute legend in San Diego.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Not because he won. Because he wanted to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that for a second.
Yep.
It's not because he won 2 World Series here and he brought San Diego their first World Series or their first championship or whatever the case is because he put his money where his mouth is and says, I want to win, was committed to that. And I hope, obviously, Feliciano and Jones kind of take that. This is the legacy that we're walking into. I get it. There are no banners up. There hasn't been a parade in San Diego. But the man literally will be revered forever because he wanted to win. Where if you take the football team that was here in the Chargers, you had an owner in Dean Spanos where if he didn't get it his way, he was going to move the freaking team up to Los Angeles. Like, that's how critical and important ownership is. Like that. Think about the 2 polar opposites that I just explained.
One dude wanted to pay Eric Hosmer more than the 144 that was already bad. The other dude didn't want to put a new scoreboard in Qualcomm. Like literally.
Oh God, it gets me, my blood boiling. I'll tell you something I guarantee would have happened. Let's pretend the Chargers stayed in San Diego and they won a Super Bowl. You know who would be at that parade? Peter Seidler. Like, the dude wanted it for SD. So anyways, that's just another example of a story that you mentioned. Whatever it costs to win, he was willing to make it happen.
Much more of the Padres tomorrow, a day closer to the deadline. By the way, congratulations to Jeremy from Oceanside. You have walked away with a 4-pack of tickets to see Santana and the Doobie Brothers August 11th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. Padres Rockies coming up. Kevin Acee will join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. And again, the Padres getting closer to that trade deadline here in 2026. All right, great job here today on the show by everyone, Alan.
Thank you, man. Thank you also to you as well, and to your family.
Thank you. I agree. All right, back tomorrow at 3 p.m. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Thank you to Brent and Alan. My name is John. You've been listening to Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.